It was Rush who sang the words, "If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice." They got the NFL owners together. They had some really expensive shrimp cocktails, and I guarantee you a lot of high-end bourbon. And ultimately, they came to a 16-16 stalemate tie on the tush push. They're tabling the discussion until they can get together and do it all over again on somebody's dime. I don't know who's paying for it, Cole, but welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. My name is Diesel. You Tolos are already in the stream. The show's not even 30 seconds old, and we've got 25 Tolos watching the show. You can be a part of that by heading over to Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Just search for The Fan Upstate. Jump in and become a part of the conversation. Know that if you do chat, you can only see the comments of other people who are chatting on the same platform as you. So Facebook and YouTube are really the places to be.
In the first 30 seconds, you went with Rush, which I'm hungry. Reminded me of Rush's the hamburger spot.
I don't know what that is.
Shrimp cocktail in Columbia. And you went bourbon, shrimp cocktail. I mean, it's 3 o'clock and now I'm already hungry. Thanks a lot.
Can we order some DoorDash shrimp cocktail?
I don't know if you said cocktails as in the drink or shrimp cocktails, but because I'm hungry, I thought, yeah,
we can have
cocktails
both.
and shrimp cocktails is what the NFL owners were probably consuming, right?
Yeah, scarfing down a lot of both.
Are we surprised?
And ultimately didn't come to a decision.
Are we surprised at all about that? I mean, 16-16. They can't figure it out.
Just dead even tie. Let's just push it off to our later meetings, May 20th and 21st. We're all going to get back together again. We're going to drink some more bourbon, call in some hookers, whatever they do at these meetings, but they need more time to think about it. So, they ultimately didn't make a decision. Now, the NFL bylaws, Cole, state that a minimum of 24 owners have to vote and approve a rule change.
24 of 32, right?
24 of 32.
Gotcha.
So they need 8 more. They need half of the no votes to vote yes if they want to ban the tush push.
Okay.
And then that's what it's going to take. So the funny thing, Cole, is not that many teams actually use the tush push as a play. You would think that they would all want to gang up on the Eagles and gang up on the Bills and say, hey, guys, we're not going to let you beat us with this play anymore, but that's not what they decided.
That's what I find most fascinating about this tush-push conversation is that, like, only a few teams use it, but boy, would I love to be a fly on the wall in those owners' meetings because you know these owners and everybody else who are in these meetings, the coaches included, Diesel, they probably have the most spirited opinions when it comes to the tush push. And you're right. Somebody might step up and say, "Hey guys, well, why don't we table this?" Maybe I'm just thinking of how this went in my head. Why don't we table this and get to it later? Because you know what? Only 3 of you 32 teams actually use the tush push anyway. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it doesn't surprise me that it was tabled.
It goes to show you that ownership thinks of completely different things from those of us fans. We're thinking about competition issues. They're thinking about what can make them money issues. Outside of that, they probably couldn't care less about what actually happens on the field. So the Packers are the team that brought this up. We all know that. And the Packers brought it up under the guise of a safety issue, which might be the worst argument I've ever heard when it comes to trying to ban a play that you feel is unfair and essentially unstoppable. Trying to call it a safety issue is the biggest load of horse manure I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
And that might be the argument. That right there, under the specific guise of calling this a safety issue, might be the reason why owners are like, yeah, I'm not really seeing this.
And that's hard to debate. That's hard for you and I or the NFL owners or whoever it is, Diesel, when we're talking about the tush push. I think that's probably the hardest part. And I don't know, again, I wasn't in those meetings, but I can imagine that those conversations went that way, talking about player safety, right? One of the owners brings up player safety, and then, Jerry Jones or whoever across the room puts his shrimp cocktail down and says, hey, how many injuries have you had from this? Well, 0.
Yeah.
Well, why are you talking about safety? Well, because it could be. Well, why are we talking about what could be? I can imagine and envision these type of conversations going that way. But to your point, there haven't been any injury issues from the play yet. Knock on wood.
I can I'm trying to imagine what kind of Texan saying that Jerry Jones is coming up with.
God,
he's like,
got
Jerry Jones probably say something like, "You can pull on that teat all day and not get milk." Like, what are you talking about, Jerry? What are you talking about?
He has a lot of the famous sayings. My favorite is El Paso. Have you ever heard of the El Paso saying that Jerry Jones has?
I don't. What's that?
It's like, you know how in Texas, El Paso, this is going to sound derogatory towards El Paso, but it kind of is. El Paso's not the safest place to go.
It's way out there.
Right. I've
It's
been one time.
way out there on the western border of New Mexico, right?
Right. And El Paso, like, what it means in Texas is I can't go there. That's what El Paso means.
Oh.
So one
I like that.
time Jerry Jones told Randy Gregory they were having, I don't want to say a stalemate in terms of a contract, but Jerry Jones is famous for using that El Paso because he's got like a million. If you watch him in
Isn't it more like Brownsville or something like that? Isn't that the really bad area?
Oh, there's a few. I mean, there's a few.
All those border towns?
As big as Texas is. But, I mean, you watch Landman, you could probably come up with 2 or 3 more Jerryisms. But El Paso is one of the No, I agree with you. I think it was probably looked at as, you said 16-16. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised it was split 50-50, but I thought it might be more like 18-14 in favor of banning it.
So here's what's actually interesting about this, Cole, is there was a rule in place that essentially banned the tush push already back up until 2005. You could not push a player from behind before 2005. And then that rule was removed, and it took them 12, 13 some odd years before coaches and offensive coordinators realized, oh, wait, we can do this again? Yeah, let's just go do that. That seems so much easier.
Isn't it funny how people just all of a sudden we
Yeah.
can do this? We can add wood to the bat? We can push people in the butt? You know?
NFL's Health and Safety Department said they had no data whatsoever that suggested a single injury had ever occurred as a result of the Eagles or any other team using the tush-push play. The Buffalo Bills were the only other team that used it regularly last season, and they combined with the Eagles to call 65 of the 101 tush-push runs in 2024. It just begs the question, Cole, if it's so successful, why isn't everybody using it?
Yeah.
It's like this new torpedo bat. If it's so good, and we're going to talk about that in the next segment, for crying out loud, a guy literally picks up the bat for the first time, goes out there and hits 2 dingers in the same game.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous how effective the torpedo bat is. It's ludicrous how effective the tush push is. But only 2 or 3 teams actually use it.
So
Crazy.
it looks as if this topic won't be tabled, Diesel, for long. They have a spring meeting coming up in May in Minnesota, and that's where it looks like they'll try to figure this thing out. But as long as it's split, to your point, what'd you say, 24 have to be in favor of it?
24, yeah.
24,
so they got to get
32.
8 more yeses to ban the play.
I don't know that they're going to get 8. I think the Bills were the only other team that used it regularly last season. The Eagles, obviously, you talk about the team that uses it the most, but it's interesting because you look at these owners and you look at the 16-16 split. You don't really have a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but you don't really have a lot of other plays that are being talked about and being discussed like this. I mean, look, I've said before, a couple of weeks ago when we had this conversation, I think it should not be banned. I don't think the tush push should be banned. I don't think it makes sense to ban something just because I like what Sean McVay said the other day. I think it was yesterday. He said, I don't like banning something just because one team's good at it. Now, Sean McVay brought up health and safety concerns, and that's kind of where I started disagreeing with Sean McVay because, as we just said, what health and safety concerns, right? There haven't been. So it's hard to argue that when there hasn't been any injuries because of it.
So what I was saying before, this was illegal. This was an illegal play prior to 2005. The NFL prohibited players to push ball carriers for much of its history, citing the difficulty of officiating it, which I don't really know what that means either. How is it difficult to officiate? The ball is where the ball is. That's all that matters, right? That should be the only thing that matters. But it was an illegal play prior to that. I don't have any problem banning it. It's not like it victimizes my team all that often. So I really don't care that much. But if the rule were to pass, Cole, it would change the verbiage of the rule that would not allow players to push ball carriers down the field in any situation. So if the running back shoots the A gap or the B gap, you can't push him from behind. The quarterback can't push him from behind.
Yeah.
You can't do it with wide receivers. If a wide receiver catches the ball and there happens to be another offensive player right there in the area, they cannot push that ball, receiver, further to gain additional yardage. Rich McKay, he's the committee chairman, and he said that they generally frown on rule changes that target only one or two teams. So it seems like those are the grounds under which this rule is probably not going to be changed or banned in the futures, because they'll look at it as it very closely targets the Bills, the Eagles, and maybe one or two other teams, in which case everybody better start using it.
Sure. Here's the audio that I was referencing, by the way, from Sean McVay. This was yesterday when the meetings ended, right after it was discussed. Here you go.
I don't believe in taking something out because they do it better than anybody else. And I told both John and Howie that when we were talking yesterday. What I don't like is the optics of that play. Looks like a rugby scrum. And there are some health and safety things, which those things exist in short yardage and goal line situations as well. So I'm kind of conflicted because you don't want to be a hater because they do it better than anybody else. So I don't agree with that. But I also wish we didn't let the play in the first place in regards to just the optics of what it looks like. Doesn't look like football to me.
So that's an interesting point, the optics of it.
So what he's essentially calling it is an invasive species.
Yeah,
it's a play that had no business being in American football that they let into the game. You know, I saw something the other day, Cole, that in like 1921, some little kid went on a vacation with his family to the jungle somewhere. Doesn't matter. And he brought home illegally 4 little geckos from that jungle in a sock, brought him back to Cincinnati, Ohio, where he's from.
Yeah.
And now they have a gigantic population of this little gecko, tens of thousands of these geckos, or millions of these geckos potentially, and they're friggin' everywhere.
And COVID.
Because they're an invasive species. Look at the state of Florida. Everything in Florida is an invasive. We're an invasive species in the state of Florida. It's bad down there. Like, it gets cold and it starts raining iguanas. I want to see that just once in my life. I want to go to Florida when it's like 20 degrees and just see these like 4-foot-long lizards fall out of the trees.
Yeah.
Like, because what's the law there? Not saying that I want to do this because it feels cruel. But, like, is the law that, like, you could just go up to it with a shovel and just take its head off and, like, all right, you've just done a good thing for the state of Florida?
You know, I don't know if I can agree with what Sean McVay said on the optics. Again, I do agree with the very first part of what he said. The very first part of the audio, the very first piece of the audio, Sean McVay, the Rams coach, was talking about, I don't agree with banning something just because other teams are good at it. And then Sean McVay goes into the optics of it. He says, to me, it doesn't look like football. But then as soon as he says that, he starts talking about health and safety concerns. So he doesn't really go into, like, and give a description of why the optics don't make sense. And to me, that's a cop-out.
Well, I think he mentioned it there, just like he gave it lip service and said, yeah, health and safety concerns. But there's health and safety concerns on every single short yardage and goal line situation. It's football. There's a health and safety concern on every single play. So I think he brought it up probably to, like, say, all right, Packers, we got your concerns out there. But, I mean, truthfully, it's no more dangerous than any other goal line play.
And this is the part I agree with.
I don't believe in taking something out because they do it better than anybody else. And I told both John and Howie that when we were talking yesterday.
So I agree with that, 100%. Just because somebody does something better doesn't mean ban it, right? Because every play eventually would be up for
okay.
What I don't like
now, here's what I kind of question what Sean McVay said.
Is the optics of that play. Looks like a rugby scrum.
All right, why do you not like the optics? And this is where I was hoping McVay would go into it.
And there are some health and
then
safety
he goes into health and
which
safety.
Those things exist.
Which has nothing to do with the optics of it. So I was hoping he'd give some reasoning again, he
Be
really
short
doesn't
yardage
give
and goal
much
line
reasoning.
situations as well. So I'm kind of conflicted because you don't want to be a hater because they do it better than anybody else. So I don't agree with that. But I also wish we didn't let the play in the first place in regards to just the optics of what it looks like.
But what's it look like? I mean, what doesn't
like
look
football to me?
Well, it doesn't look like football.
I think he said it just looks like an ugly play.
Well,
the Eagles. So to give you some data on this,
yeah,
the Eagles last year scored 11 touchdowns and 32 first downs on tush push plays. Over the past 3 seasons, they've scored 27 touchdowns and recorded 92 total first downs on the tush push play. So, I mean, are they using it to the point where it's literally unstoppable? Are they running it on every single first down situation and every single goal line situation? No, because if they did that, the defense would key in on it, know exactly what it is they're going to try to do, stack the box, and the play wouldn't work. So then the Eagles, I mean, they're smart enough about it to where they set it up. They set up the outside pass. They bounce it outside with the running back, and then they run the tush-push play to spread the defense out, and then, bam, hit them right there in the middle.
JD on the YouTube stream, where there's 92 people watching on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, JD says, if it shouldn't be banned, then the Eagles should have to give a tutorial to every other team on how to do it. Oh, my gosh. And then whoever executes Philly Special and the flea flicker.
So here's how they should have come at this, Cole. If you are, and I know you're not, but if you want to play devil's advocate here for a moment, I'd appreciate it if you did that. If the Packers and the 17 other owners who voted to go back to the pre-2005 rule when this was not a legal play wanted to convince other teams to join their side of things, it's very easy. It's very easy to do it. The rule states you can't assist the runner. So what is this? What are they doing if not assisting the runner? Are they scratching his back? Are they giving him a massage? Are they checking to make sure the stitching on his number is just right? Like, what are they doing here? You and I both know that this is assisting the runner.
And that's
we all know that it is assisting the runner. However, by rule, by the strict letter of the rule in place, assisting the runner is only pulling the runner forward or lifting the player up. Both of those two actions are illegal under current rules. We know that this is assisting the runner. If we want to ban it, that's how you ban it, is you call a spade and say this is assisting the runner.
To me, it's kind of like cursing on the radio. I mean, you can't curse on the radio, right? That's what they say. However, you can curse on the radio. You can say certain words on the radio that many people consider cuss words or curse words. So to me, it's very similar. Assisting the runner may mean may mean this to you, but again, we have to look at it by the letter of the law. To your point, though, if they want an easy fix, just change the rule.
But how
and
is
add in? Okay, you cannot push from behind.
You can't push, pull, or lift. Right. So answer me this, Cole. Outside of the justification that it's not in the written rule, okay, so you can't use that. I'm taking that off the table. How is the tush push not assisting a runner?
No, it's how is it not?
How is it not assisting?
If you cannot bring the rule up, there's nothing. I mean,
right. Okay. So we all agree that it is assisting the runner, not by the letter of the rule currently, but the action of doing it is assisting the runner. Right. We all agree on that. Right.
Yeah, it's assisting the runner from the backside.
Yeah.
And assisting the runner from the backside isn't a rule. Right?
Correct. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't use that as the justification because we all agree that it is assisting the runner.
Yeah, and again, assisting though, like again, you could argue assisting. What is assisting? Assisting's pulling or assisting's pushing, right? You could argue that.
Sure.
I just think that if they want to be clear with it, they have to define what assisting is. Unfortunately, the reason this is allowed is because assisting isn't defined in the rule. That's what it comes down to.
That element of assisting is not defined.
Yeah.
Pulling and lifting is defined as assisting the runner.
It's weird, though, that whenever they made that rule, they put pulling and what was the other? Lifting?
Lifting, yeah.
Why would they make the rule and put pulling and lifting but not pushing?
So
that's weird to me.
I wonder, so, Dewey, your text message is ridiculous. So let's just say, for the sake of argument here, Cole, that a player, they lined up to do the tush push, running back receives the ball, you got a tailback or a halfback, whoever, you got a lineman behind him, for crying out loud. If when you push him, are you only allowed to push him straight forward or downwards? Like, what if in a football play, you're lined up low with a wide stance, and when you push, you're actually pushing upwards on the player? Is that not technically lifting?
So I like what Christopher tweeted. Christopher on X, Christopher Tano, just tweeted the show and said, Cole Bryson isn't blocking, or at the Cole Bryson, my Twitter handle, isn't blocking for the runner, assisting the runner. It's an interesting point.
Well,
Again,
no.
assisting's just not defined.
No, assisting in the sense that you are performing a specific action on the runner's person himself.
But again,
I mean,
think that's where assist needs to be defined
parse
better.
words and add some justification for anything. Is giving a player Gatorade not assisting the runner because you're replenishing his electrolytes and helping him play better? Is giving him words of encouragement not assisting the runner? We got to draw a line somewhere.
And again, what that all boils down to, the NFL's in a bad job of defining what
Very
assisting
true.
the runner is.
Very true.
That's or what assisting is. You've got to assisting has to be very clear. What is assisting? And they haven't done a great job of defining that. Diesel, you mentioned it earlier in the segment. Last night there was a player in the MLB that said, "Oh, I'll give this new bat a try," and we'll tell you what he did next. Elly De La Cruz decided on a random Monday that, hey, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of conversation about these new torpedo bats, and I, myself, as Elly De La Cruz, I want to try one of these torpedo bats, right? You get a torpedo bat, I get a torpedo bat, everybody gets a torpedo bat, and what did De La Cruz do yesterday? By the way, he plays for the Cincinnati Reds. And I feel awful, just terrible for the Texas Rangers and whoever was on the mound yesterday. I think it was Garcia, I believe, for the Rangers. But I feel awful for them and the timing of this. But De La Cruz Diesel picks up a torpedo bat on Monday, the 31st of March, and proceeds to bat 4 of 5.
800 on the game.
4 runs,
Woo!
7 RBIs. Did I mention 2 home runs? An OBP of 471, a slugging percentage of 875, again 4 of 5, and 7 RBIs knocked in with 2 home runs to go with it. Elly De La Cruz picks up the torpedo bat after you and I and the rest of America have talked about these new bats. We talked about it yesterday with the New York Yankees and how the Yankees were just destroying the cover off of the ball. So that's what I want to do in this very segment, Diesel, and ask a question that you asked before we went on the air today when it comes to the future of these and what it could do to the game. Tolos, we want to hear from you at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. The phone lines are open. You can also text the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, the same number. You text, call the same exact number. If you played baseball, if you are a big baseball fan, we'd especially want to hear from you. If you played, that'd be cool too. I plan to ask our 4:30 guest about this coming up at 4:30 about these new torpedo bats and his opinion on them because he's one that played in the major leagues. But Diesel, Elly De La Cruz last night, I don't know if this is what will happen in the future, but Elly De La Cruz showed the world that it's very easy to have 2 home runs and 7 RBIs and 4 hits once you have this new bat in your hand.
His post-game interview was fantastic. He said, yeah, I picked it up in batting practice before the game.
Yeah.
Used it for the first time, liked it. Took it out on. Look, I mean, you still have to
hit the ball.
Yeah, you still have to put wood on the ball. But when you do, it's so much more forgiving. Think about this, Cole. Like the entire golf industry, not for the pros, because they don't really need it, even though they still use it also. But for average Joes, when it comes to like buying golf equipment, like one of the big factors that they sell you on is forgiveness. Forgiveness of a bad shot, of a bad strike. You know, the idea that if you catch it just a hair, like a 1/4 inch off center, it's not going to go 3 holes over onto the fairway. You're only going to miss by a little bit, and you're still going to get pretty decent yardage out of your shot. Like you still have to hit the ball fairly well, even with one of these drivers the size of a trash can. You still have to hit it square-ish to get it to go down the middle of the fairway. So this is kind of the same thing. It's like the bat has so much more forgiveness now as compared to the old style baseball bat. I just think it's fascinating, Cole, how we didn't hear about this in spring training. Like this wasn't something that teams and players were messing around with while they were down there in the grapefruit and the cactus leagues. The Yankees waited, and this was smart, Cole. They got off to a hot start. I think Brother Contreras told us yesterday, without looking it up, I think they got off to an undefeated start with this torpedo bat. I mean, they're already really good, but they got off to a really hot start, and they set themselves up so that even if 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks into the season, Major League Baseball says, all right, guys, cut it out. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to let you use this bat anymore. Now Major League Baseball has to figure out. They have to start doing all the research on this. They have to see if it fits within the rules committee and all that other stuff. And they'll probably cite like health and safety concerns to say, oh, the bat's going to split more often, like I think JD or Madcraft said yesterday.
You know what's interesting, though, when you talk about this bat and what Elly De La Cruz did yesterday and what other MLB players can do, my opinion on it is very simple. You don't get, because I want to go back to what you just said a minute ago. you don't get to the major leagues. You don't get to the big leagues unless you know how to put the bat on the ball, unless you have a swing to where you can consistently, not at a 500 clip, but you can consistently put a bat on the ball. So to your point about you still have to hit it, I agree with you. However, and I don't mean for this to make it sound like it's easy now, but those players in the MLB, every one of them know how to hit the baseball. They wouldn't be in the MLB if they didn't know how to hit the baseball. So now you give them this bat that's juiced at the right spot, the sweet spot, and you're getting guys who already know how to hit the base. To your point about the drivers or the golf clubs, if you give those to tour guys, it's going to be a lot more impactful as if you and Charlie James were using them, right? There's a big difference because these guys know how to do it. They're getting paid millions to do it. Yeah. I'm not saying it's unfair, but boy, in my mind, this is going to be maybe the biggest change to baseball in a long, long time.
Well, I love it because it pulls that mass of the baseball bat just a little bit closer to your hands. It puts the mass of the bat where a majority of the contact is supposed to come from. The thing is shaped kind of like a bowling pin, right? With the fat part of the bat where you're putting the wood on the ball. Yeah. I think it's such a huge help to players. I'm wondering how long it's going to take Major League Baseball to make a ruling on this. And then they're certainly not going to go back and say, okay, well, any game where this bat was used or any run that was scored using this bat is forfeit. They're not going to go back and do that. So the teams that have jumped on this early, they're going to reap the rewards, whether it goes all season and we start seeing like 25 to 20 baseball games, or they jump on it halfway or a quarter of the way through the season and say, no, you can't do that anymore. The wins are going to stand.
By the way, the Reds defeated the Rangers in that game yesterday, 14-3. Elly De La Cruz was one of only two people who had 4 or more hits in the game. JT and Greer text the show on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line and says, can we buy those bats for the Atlanta Braves? We need some help. JT, yes. In fact, I won't be on the show tomorrow. I'm driving the bats down to Atlanta myself. That way, when they get back from the Dodgers, the Dodger series, they're waiting on them. Diesel and I may just drive I'm telling you, we need the Braves need those bats very, very badly. JD, not JT, another J and another initial, and you got JT and Greer, and JD
in Simpsonville
is on hold. Phone line's open at 844-FAN-PHONE. What's up, JD?
What's good, gentlemen? Thanks for taking my call. The first thing I want to ask is just a few years ago when this whole spider tack thing with the pitchers became such a big deal and they outlawed that, why didn't they just give the hitters the torpedo bats then? Instead of outlawing the pitchers, now all of a sudden you're going to have all these batters that are going to hit all these home runs. And I'll be honest, I did play baseball. Never hit a home run. Not one day in my life. The only home run I ever hit was an in-the-park home run. And it was only once.
It's got
but
wheels.
I just think these bats have got either give everybody the bats, but then you're going to have all these long home runs and these long games. I think it was DB who mentioned it on the stream yesterday. They just tried to shorten the game. So now we're going to have them scoring 20 to 18. It's going to look like these ridiculous college baseball scores that we have in the beginning of the year. I just don't see any way that they can continue to let these bats.
So do you think they should ban the bats?
I mean, I hate to be a Debbie Downer because we all like home runs, but yeah, I do.
I mean, at this point, why not let them choose between a regular bat, a torpedo bat, or an aluminum bat? Because that's basically what they're hitting with. Is a wood bat with the power to do what aluminum bats do.
Right. And see, I'm all for competitive balance and uniformity. So you can't have one team that gets to use these bats, which I know, like we mentioned, Elly De La Cruz, he got to use one last night. Either they all get the bats or nobody gets the bat.
Well, they all do get the bat, JD. They don't. I mean, they get to choose what kind of bat they use. Each individual player.
Just the other day, though, I thought the story was that it would take several weeks for some of these teams to get these bats.
Well, they have to order them. They probably didn't even know they existed. And the Yankees were just on top of it as soon as the season started. See, like I was saying, they didn't bring these out during spring training to say, hey, look at these juiced up bats. We're hitting the ball 500, 600 feet with a juiced up bat in spring training. They were smart and waited until opening day to unveil these things. So they had potentially lots of time training with it. And then they go out and hit a lot of home runs. And now they get off to a 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 start wherever they are right now. And Major League Baseball is not going to take those wins away. So now every other team has to scramble and try to order them. And the torpedo bat company is going to say, oh, sorry, guys. We have an exclusive deal or we made all the ones that we can make right now, and it's going to be a while before we get them back in stock.
Right. And the one last thing I'll say, too, is so the whole thing when they teach you to hit a baseball is take your hands to the ball. You can't have this long looping swing. And like you mentioned, where the weight of the bat is shifted down a little bit closer to the hand, it makes it easier for them to swing, I think. And so, yeah, just give them all the bats. Don't let anybody get held back from getting the bat, or get rid of the uniformity and the competitive balance, the competitive edge. It's just a whole can of worms that the MLB has gotten themselves into. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks,
Y'all be
JD.
blessed.
You know, it's interesting. I just counted, there are 16 players in the MLB currently using the torpedo bats. Mm-hmm. 16. So to your point, Diesel, I would give advice to anybody that if you want to order Christmas presents from Amazon, don't wait until Christmas Eve to order your Christmas presents from Amazon. Right? Like, I'm sorry. They're available.
It's a mad dash for an arms race. This is an arms race. All these teams are trying to hurry up and get a hold of one. And, you place the order, and it takes 3 or 4 days to ship something standard, and then it gets caught up in one of the hubs somewhere. Yeah, look, if you're going to allow – I think if you're going to allow the torpedo bats to be out there on the field, then you should allow pitchers to go back to using spider tack. Let them put Vaseline or Bardol on the inside of their hats, whatever it takes, right? If we're just gonna let players use juiced bats, we should let pitchers use juiced balls, substances to improve their pitches.
It's hard to argue that these torpedo bats are not an advantage like spider tack is. So that's the tough part. Let's go back to the phone lines where Joshua wants to weigh in on the conversation. 844-326-3663. What's on your mind, Joshua?
Hey, I just want to talk about the torpedo bats, man. I think everybody is getting this wrong.
Okay.
It is going to make the game better. It's going to make the competition better. And it's going to stress something that has completely got lost in the game over the last maybe 8 to 10 seasons, and that's your starting pitching. You're not going to see $150 million contracts for an 8 and 12 pitcher anymore. You're not going to see all that. It's going to separate the great pitchers from the run-of-the-mill pitchers. It is going to make the managers. It's going to make the GMs have to focus on getting quality pitching and bringing quality pitching back. Hell, anybody can go out there currently and throw the ball and play the way the rules have been made to help out the pitchers. The batters, you still got to make contact. Some of the greatest hitters of all time, Barry Bonds, Tony Gwynn, all those guys, it's the hand-eye coordination. It's the vision. You have to have that to be a top-tier batter. You can give them a freaking, whatever it is, cricket bat and let them go out there. And if you don't have the speed, you don't have the hand-eye coordination, you don't have the vision, you're not going to get a hit against good starting pitching. So the bat thing is out of the question for me. It's not an advantage. They redesigned the bat. It's still within the rules of the game, so you can't ban something that is technically legal. It makes you have to go back to focusing on good quality pitching, man.
Thanks for the call, Joshua.
Joshua, they do have written standards for the size and the dimensions that a baseball bat is supposed to be. This just, gets around the gray area of those dimensions.
Right, 100% agree with that. But it's still within the overall rules of the game. It's just like in NASCAR when people tweak the fenders, they tweak the spoilers to get that aerodynamic advantage to it. It's still within the rules. It's all about your engineering, about the way you apply the rules to the game. And for teams to be picking up on this, to be using it, hey, that's evolution, baby. More power to them.
I like
Keep
it.
going.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks,
Well, I'll
Josh.
say this
Great
real
call.
quick about that. Very good call, by the way. I agree with you. I like his point, his comparison to NASCAR, because NASCAR back in the day used to be so much about tweaks and adjustments, right?
Yeah,
Doing
you let
this-
the engineers do it.
You do this minor little adjustment, and all of a sudden you've got a huge competitive advantage. And to his point, that's what the Yankees have done. That's what these 16 batters in the MLB have done. I say hats off to them. I don't know if I'm Team Bantam. I think right now I'm leaning toward maybe, look, baseball, to the baseball guys out there, it's wonderful. However, it doesn't attract the same crowd that it used to. Diesel, I think let's give it a shot. That's my opinion. Let's give it a shot and see if maybe it makes baseball more entertaining.
To Joshua's point, and I think I'm understanding him correctly. I apologize, Joshua, if I'm getting a little bit wrong what you were trying to say there. But he's saying starting pitching is going to have to improve to get better, and I think Kane on the stream said something similar about this as well. Starting pitching is going to have to get better to deal with these bats. How long is that going to take, though? Like that's not like you can't take a Cy Young candidate pitcher and say, hey, now you have to change what you do to be able to get around this new rule change that allows this bat with a bigger sweet spot. I think it's going to take pitching a long time to catch up and to figure this out. And it's also going to very, very greatly stress bullpen staffs of these teams. Because if you get to the point where, a team puts up 5, 6, 7, 8 runs in the first inning, you're going to pull that starter. You're going to go to a reliever, and then another reliever, and then another reliever, and then a late reliever, and then a closer, and then, oh crap, a second closer, and all of a sudden you got a game where teams are putting up 30 runs, and you've had to throw everybody, Johnny Holstaff every single night.
I don't think pitching has got to get better. And I don't know if that was the point Joshua was trying to make or not. To your point, to what you just said, Diesel, I don't think starting pitching has to be better. I think you're going to see the best rise above the rest, and you're going to see the best really take a step up, and it's going to look like they're taking a step up. They're already the best in the game.
So is that what you want to see, 5 or 6 pitchers in the game that can shut down hitters using the torpedo bat, and everybody else is giving up 25 runs?
Well, I just think that at the end of the day, you have to look at it from a big picture standpoint. Do you want to ban the bat? And just because, again, going back to what Sean McVay said, right, that they discovered it first. It's within the rules. So we're just going to become this soft society where we ban something, but it's in the here's my problem with it.
But competition committees have the right within their organization to make whatever rules they want to make. And it doesn't matter a damn bit what the public thinks about it. They can set their own rules.
It comes across as soft to me.
Point is, Major League Baseball, if you're going to ban this thing, you better ban it now. Because if you don't, and you let this thing get to the point where every player in the league is using it and fans are watching it because they love 20 to 17 games, and all of a sudden you got to tell them, hey, you got to go back to watching 4-3 games, they're going to revolt, and you're never going to get them back.
Personally, I would rather watch a 14-6 game. Personally, I would rather watch a 14-6 game than a 2-1 game. That's just my opinion. I'd rather watch 14-6 any day over 2-1.
And to JD's point about the games getting longer again, put them on a 10-second clock. They're pros. They can figure it out.
Tommy John.
When we come back, there's a new sports movie in the works. The question is, will you give a rip about watching it? And I want to ask you, Tolos, what was the last great sports movie? Not your all-time great sports movie. I don't care about movies that came out in the 90s. What is your last great sports movie? That conversation next. I was racking my brain, Cole, about the best recent sports movies. And, used to get them all the time, right? Like, every summer there was a baseball comedy or a football drama or a golf movie, whatever it may be, coming out. But, it feels like that whole genre, like dinosaur movies, and after that it became the Avengers, and if it wasn't a superhero, if it couldn't fly or crash through a wall, nobody was watching that movie. And it seems, I hope at least, that we're going to start getting some sports movies coming back and being a part of our culture the way that it used to be, like the way Major League and Caddyshack and Tin Cup and all those movies, you'd see them coming out constantly. There's a new movie on the horizon that is set to begin production in the near future. Zack Snyder is going to direct. Those of you who know movies, you might know Zack Snyder as the director of 300, Watchmen, Sucker Punch, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, the Snyder Cut of Justice League, whatever it may be. He is set to direct a UFC drama called Brawler, a film about a Los Angeles man who rises in the world of Ultimate Fighting Championship. The project is a collaboration between Zack Snyder, UFC President Dana White, and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority. With that teaser in mind, Cole, are you going to go ahead and pre-order your tickets?
No.
No, you're not going to go see Brawler?
There's nothing in that.
You just not like Zack Snyder?
I don't know who Zack Snyder is.
Okay.
Nothing in that seemed of interest to me. And again, I know that it might be a really good movie. I think the last one was the Adam Sandler one for me.
Hustle.
Hustle, I liked
Hustle
that
was a
one a lot.
great movie.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a good one.
See, sports movies are supposed to make you feel good at the end. And that's the problem is we've gotten our society, we're so jaded now. We don't want things that make us feel good and excited, and everybody goes and has this collective experience where you're excited that the Mighty Ducks won the game, or you're excited that Happy Gilmore hit the putt right there at the end. Now, JD on the stream says he's excited for Days of Thunder 2 and Happy Gilmore 2. Days of Thunder 2, I'm legitimately excited for, because Days of Thunder 1 was great, and Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick was incredible, so I got reason to believe that one's going to be good. I have no faith in Happy Gilmore 2. I really don't. And I like Adam Sandler movies from the 90s, but then I also saw Hubie Halloween. That movie sucked, and I don't know that I believe Happy Gilmore 2 is going to be worth a damn.
Yeah, Kane says safety about the Clemson player. Kane, that movie sucked. That was a bad movie. I'm sorry, but it did. That was a terrible, terrible movie. In the very next segment, we have a different 4 o'clock hour today because of a guest at 4:30. So the first segment will be shorter. The second will be normal. The third will be normal. Usually the short segment is at the very end of the hour, as you can pick up on. But we are going to get into the top headlines in sports. It's our Daily Wires next. Diesel, we get a lot of emails throughout the course of the day here at the station from different colleges, from promotions. But a good email we just got a few minutes ago, you and I will be at the first ever Hub City Spartanburgers versus Greenville Drive game for a live show in April. It's actually April the 24th, so how about that?
Love
Is that
it.
not awesome?
I'm excited, man. This ballpark is a gem. The city of Spartanburg, you residents of Spartanburg County, you guys need to be excited about this. You need to do whatever it takes to find tickets to your first opportunity to get out there, because you are going to be blown away at what they have done to put this ballpark together for you. And, Cole and I got to tour the place. We got to go down into the belly of the beast. It is nice.
It is time for what we call our Daily Wires. Bzz. It's the top headlines in sports. Coming up next, we're going to get into Shane Beamer's audio on the Josh Pate Show. And then at 4:30, we'll be joined by Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville, who happened to play quite a few years, Diesel, in the major leagues and might have an opinion or two on the torpedo bats. Can't wait to ask him about that later in the show. But the New Orleans Pelicans announced Monday that Zion Williamson and CJ McCollum will not play again this season, shutting them down. Two good players, not good for the Pelicans, obviously.
Is Zion ever going to play a full season? Is Zion ever going to play half a season?
I don't know about a full. Full might be a stretch, okay? Might be a little bit of a stretch there.
Come on.
And Cincinnati, we mentioned this earlier, but using the trendy torpedo bat for the first time, Elly De La Cruz had a single, double, 2 home runs for a career high 7 RBIs as the Cincinnati Reds routed the Texas Rangers 14-3.
Rumor has it that
Monday.
game is still in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, it could be. Also, just in, literally like seconds ago, in the perfect segment for Daily Wires from Grayson Mann of TigerNet, alcohol sales are coming to Clemson athletic events per the university. This will start with the spring game, with baseball and softball rolling out a piloted version of the week, April 7th. It has been teased, but today's news makes it official. So there you have it. Alcohol sales coming to Clemson.
Like a little Orange Crush soda and some tequila? Get out of here. You telling me that
Orange
wouldn't
Crush.
be delicious?
I like it. Veteran outfielder Jurickson Profar, in case you missed it yesterday, Tolos, we talked about this in the very last hour of the show. Well, he tested positive for a banned substance and began an 80-game suspension, so only 79 to go for Jurickson. However, I would just shut him down the rest of the year because he's not eligible for the postseason now. So a huge blow, as if things weren't bad enough. That absolutely sucks. In the Elite Eight last night, one of the best games in the postseason tournament was the first one. TCU Texas was close all the way throughout. Texas did pull away at the very end and defeated TCU and shut down Van Lith pretty well for the first half. Van Lith did get rolling a little bit in the second half, but Texas defeated TCU 58-47. UConn defeated Southern Cal last night 78-64. So the Final Four is set in the women's college basketball March Madness tournament. Diesel, Clemson baseball is set to play Georgia Southern tonight, 6:30 p.m. First pitch. Georgia Southern is in where? What part of Georgia?
Statesboro.
I don't think I've ever been there.
You never heard of Statesboro Blues?
No. I've heard of Statesboro. I don't think I've ever been to Statesboro.
So you go through. I've only been to Statesboro once. You go through Statesboro if you're getting to Florida and you choose to go like the Greenwood route,
the rural route.
The rural route. Try saying that 5 times fast. Went through there and the place smells funny. I don't know what's going
It's
on.
out in the middle of nowhere.
Stinks.
So it sounds like
Stinks.
Right? Sounds like it's out in the honkies. South Carolina baseball in action tonight as well, hosting Presbyterian College at 7 p.m. We'll see if the Gamecocks can get a win. They've lost 7 in a row, so maybe they can turn the tide tonight against the Blue Hose. Baseball, we mentioned this, Diesel, is back in Spartanburg. Wofford, USC Upstate tonight, 6:30. Just over 2 hours from right now, the home of the Hub City Spartanburgers getting its first taste of baseball. And how cool is it for Wofford and USC Upstate to be able to say they played the first ever game. I mean, is that not awesome? The first ever game, Diesel, at a minor league ballpark. These players, by the way, too, Wofford's really good this year. Upstate's pretty good. These players are going to be able to say they played the first game ever there.
Going to get to christen the new ballpark.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
The Boston Red Sox and Garrett Crochet agreed on a 6-year, $170 million contract extension, sources told ESPN on Monday, keeping the 25-year-old ace as the face of the organization, if you will. Diesel, news earlier today, Texas A&M's Buzz Williams has finalized a 6-year deal to become the next head coach at Maryland. That is a huge story in college basketball. Your instant reaction to that?
Fantastic get for Maryland.
Fantastic.
The Big Ten staying strong. I mean, that's
even the SEC.
That's a big boy contract offer to get a guy out of the SEC. You know he wasn't making chump change. And so for Maryland, who's losing a head coach that got them to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight, you want to be able to keep that rolling. So
that's what you have to do, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go get a coach. That's unbelievable. Diesel, the next Daily Wire for you is one that it's on here. They say it's true. I don't know if it's true or not. It was announced last night that Coastal Carolina University is offering free concessions for the 2025 football season, making the Chanticleers the first FBS program, again, coming right before April Fools, right? The first FBS program in the country to offer free concessions at games. The statement said, "Our fans are the heartbeat of Teal Nation. We're always looking for ways to elevate the game day experience." That came from Chance Miller in a statement on Monday. Diesel, if it's true, great. I don't think they should have announced it last night. Maybe wait until Thursday, Friday.
Well, last night was March 31st. It wasn't April Fool's Day.
Close, though. It was close. So any Coastal fan who buys a ticket to the game will be able to select up to 4 items per concession stand visit from a menu selection of hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, and fountain drinks. Diesel, here's the best part. There are no limits on how many visits to the concessions. I mean, is this not wild? How does this make any sense? What do they mean? Who's going to foot the bill for all this?
Well, I assume ticket prices are going to go up, number one. Number two, how can they make hot dogs any cheaper to as far as what meat goes into a hot dog? I mean, what are these things going to be made of if they're willing to give them away for free?
Don't say
Number
that.
three, how does the university think this is sustainable? Because it's going to cost them a lot of money. And number four, that old saying, Cole, if you're getting a product for free, then you are the product. You have to have an app to scan, which means they're collecting data on you, which means they're selling your information to the Russians.
I love it.
Coastal Carolina, you heard it here first, people.
Wow.
In bed with the Russians. Putin is going to know just how many hot dogs you've had this season.
I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me any. He can know all he wants. The Braves last night, they lost their leadoff, as I just mentioned. They also lost the game. They lost Reynaldo Lopez to the IL. They're back in action tonight.
They lost their man cards, too.
10-10 is the first pitch. Chris Sells on the mound. We'll see.
God, it's so sad.
So sad. It's sad. In case you missed it, Stanford hiring Frank Wright as interim football coach. Only a 1-year agreement, though. Victor Locken will play in the 2025 Reese's College All-Star Game. Third Tiger to participate. 2 more for you. Sad to see a local radio station in the upstate close their doors. A little small station. Diesel, as WLBG of Lawrence announced they're closing. The station carried Lawrence athletics, PC football at one time, even the Clinton State Championship back in 1985. We all know how, if you're a small radio station, it's kind of hard to survive. And then,
hey, boss man, you heard that? Local radio station. There's a signal available. Let's put
Lawrence.
the fan upstate on down there in
go.
Lawrence.
I like
Let's go.
Last one for you. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right, is the saying as it goes, Diesel. Michie Johnson announced today that he is returning to South Carolina. From
How
South
about
Carolina
that?
to Ohio State, back to South Carolina. That's interesting. Gamecock fans, what is your reaction to that?
Sloppy seconds. How about that?
They
They took that one guy that went from South South Carolina to Florida State and back. Now they're taking a guy that went from South Carolina to Ohio State and back. Look, it's transfer portal era, man. It ain't personal. When we come back, let's stay with those South Carolina Gamecocks. Our good friend of the show, Josh Pate, had on Shane Beamer this past week. He had a couple of big statements to make. He talked to him about a lot of different things, especially about how salty or not that relationship with Brett Bielema still is to this day. We'll play you that audio and react to it next. South Carolina is on one, Cole, posting videos of players pulling the mannequin trick on April Fools. You know, it's where they get a player. They line up uniforms on mannequins in the facility for weeks. And so, you know, other players and people that come in and out of the facility, they see this, they get used to it being there. And then, They do a little switcheroo, and they put a person in the costume, in the jersey, and all of a sudden they're jump scaring everybody.
That's an old take.
It's
find
old.
Find something better.
It would get me though. That's the problem. It would get me because I'm not good at jump scare stuff. It gets me every time. But that video is out there. We can't pull April Fool's gags on our show.
Yeah,
They don't let us. We get the email every year that says no April Fool's pranking people. You can't do prank phone calls. You can't have any fun. It sucks, man. Like modern radio.
Yeah.
They've sucked all the fun out of what we're allowed to do. Thanks a lot, lawyers. But staying there with the South Carolina Gamecocks, Cole, Shane Beamer had a lengthy hour-long conversation on Josh Pate's radio show on his YouTube channel last week. I thought it was a really fantastic interview. If you guys haven't seen it, look up Josh Pate on social media, on YouTube. You're going to find the clip. But I wanted to play a couple of short clips of what Shane Beamer had to say on Josh Pate's college football show and get your reaction as we are kind of eating up some time before Landon Powell, another former South Carolina Gamecock, now head coach of North Greenville baseball, set to join us at 4:30. So, Cole, here we go.
Yep.
Remember how all last year, a lot of South Carolina Gamecock fans, when it comes to the LSU game and the loss that they took in that LSU game, were crying and whining, the referees stole the game away from us. If it wasn't for the refs, if it wasn't for those bad calls, we would have won that game. Shane Beamer says cut it out. Not exactly in those terms. But when it comes to his players in Columbia, this is what Shane Beamer had to say on not allowing his players to use excuses like that for why they lost.
Fact of the matter is we had way too many penalties in that game to begin with, our own doing. So I'm a huge Mike Tomlin fan, the head coach of the Steelers, and he always talks about don't seek comfort. And I use that all the time with our players, and it's so true. And to me, that was somewhat of a message after that game. This guy's like, everybody's going to pat you on the back and tell you, hey, man, it's not y'all's fault. This happened, that happened. You should have won this game. Even now, I'm still doing this with them in regards to last year in that game. Guys, don't seek comfort by telling yourself that. It never even should have come down to that. You know, if we just play a little bit more disciplined and execute some of the things that we're supposed to and give LSU credit. I mean, they were down, 17-0 on the road in a hostile environment and came back and won. So, tip your cap to them. But people want to talk about the 2 pick sixes that came back because of a penalty, and people want to talk about an offensive pass interference against us that negated a big play in the passing game in the fourth quarter. But we had a lot of other penalties besides those 3 that we need to clean up. So it was more about let's clean ourselves up and don't let everybody tell you, it's okay because it's not y'all's fault. Y'all lost the game. It is our fault, and I'm the head coach, and that was the message I wanted to certainly convey and also showing them and talk about it. We're that close, guys. All this that we didn't do right, and we still had a chance to win the game at the end, and we couldn't quite get it done.
Your reaction?
It's good coaches speak.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what coaches are supposed to say, but the fans and people who react like we do, we don't, we can feel other ways. Like, he's right. 2 things can be true, Diesel, in my mind. He said the right thing there. He is preaching the right thing to his players. I love Shane Beamer. However, 2 things can be true, and the refs did suck, that day. Like, 2 things can be true. I mean, it happens. But he can't say that. He's the coach. He has to figure out a way to rally him. I love what he.
I think he's got to toughen up the minds of a lot of players. He's got to toughen up the minds of a lot of fans who try to make excuses like that. I do appreciate what he said at the very end. It proves how close we were to being on par or better than some
Playoffs.
Really good football teams, being a playoff caliber team. But at the end of the day, you and I both know, Cole, that it's easy from a fan perspective to analyze a game and say it came down to this one particular play. Well, there's a lot of other plays and situations that led up to that play. There's a lot of other plays that put you in a situation that led up to that play. So all of those things matter.
Yeah, they do.
I do appreciate that. Some coaches will use the catchphrase like "leave no doubt." Don't leave it in the hands of the referees. You got to be so good outside of those plays that you're in a position where the game is locked up, and stupid penalties like that can affect you.
My only comment on that is sometimes in the game, in sports, you're not always going to be in that situation. Sometimes you are playing a really good team. South Carolina played a really good team that day, and you would like to be good enough to leave no doubt. You would like to be good enough to go out there and you take a 17-0 lead on LSU. You would like to be good enough to go up 31-0, 31-3. Reality, though, LSU was a really good team. They had a really good quarterback, and it's tough to always do that.
Well,
and it comes down most of the time.
The reality is you can't horse collar on a pick six.
No, most of the time it comes down to the small plays. I mean, there's the small things, but again, he's right. It is 100% on the players to make the most of every opportunity. But at the same time, you can't. My thing is you can't go back and watch that and not say the refs weren't horrible. I mean, the refs were horrible. I mean,
it's also mentally toughens up his team
Yeah.
to not allow them to let the same loss beat twice. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You could be feeling a certain way about a game. That the refs screwed us, or this happened or that happened, but you got to flush that stuff out of your mind,
Sure,
and be ready to go the next week. To that point, he also was talking about the accomplishments that they had last year, not allowing the good vibrations and the good feels of last year's accomplishments seep into the minds and the hearts and the souls of the players who were on the team this year. This is what Shane had to say about that.
I think guys get it. Since they came back in January, it's a group that's very confident because they know that we have a chance to be a really good football team, but very hungry as well about the way the last year ended. I mean, we're excited about the season that we had, winning 9 games, but there's still a great hunger for what we didn't accomplish, and then we fell a little bit short of ultimate goals. So they've been very purposeful, very driven since they came back in January, and that's been exciting to see. But you're exactly right, and that's the point that we've made is, we have a chance to be a really good team, but also understand that there's high expectations for, there's players that are returning, but these high expectations are because of what we did last season, and a lot of the guys that did that are no longer a part of this program. They're getting ready to move on to the NFL. So understanding that it doesn't just happen, there was a lot of work that went into the 2024 team on and off the field, and 2025 has got to be even more.
Yeah, you're starting from 0-0. You don't get half a win because of what you did last year.
Unfortunately, a lot of fans don't understand that. I've said this for a long time, Diesel. Momentum does not carry over from season to season.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can say we won 8, 9, 10 games last year. It doesn't. It doesn't matter what sport it is. It takes talent. It takes preparation. I do not believe in momentum contributing to an entire year. Now, can momentum contribute to days and weeks? Sure. But no, listen, there's zero momentum for South Carolina, Clemson, anybody heading into the 2025 season. He said it. That 24 team, it was a lot of work that went in, and I think that's him emphasizing that they're not there yet.
Well, it's important to state that winning is not linear, right?
Yeah.
Success is not linear. There's no guarantee that you're going to go from 4 wins this year to 5 wins the next year to 6 wins 2 years from now and
You hope
7
so,
wins.
but it didn't work that
You
way.
would hope so, but the truth is, you're playing a bunch of other playing against a bunch of other dudes that are trying to beat you.
Yeah,
and
they're good,
and you
talented.
can improve by saying, all right, we got a B+ wide receiving core right now. Next year, we're going to have an A wide receiving core. And the next year after that, we're going to have an A+ wide receiving core. You got guys on the other side who are trying to stop you as well. So success is not always linear. Texter says, why did Beamer feel the need to specify who Mike Tomlin was? Stupid. That's being a little harsh.
Same
there.
reason we
in the height of
say the same
conversation,
name on an interview.
you just say it. Look, man, that's being harsh for no reason on Shane Beamer. And he was talking about the turning point of the season last year. And you always hear coaches talk about player-led teams. This is really telling about when the player-led element of this program kicked in. And this is what Shane had to say about that.
It was just a different feel in the locker room after that game of very much just, we're tired of this. And
Talk about the Alabama game, by the way.
in practice, we've worked our butt off. We're better than what we're showing out here on Saturdays. enough's enough type thing. And the very next week, I don't know what happened, but we went out to Oklahoma and jumped on them early and had a great win that day and didn't lose again the rest of the season until the bowl game. So I think it was just very much a team that had a lot of leadership, a lot of veteran guys, knew we were performing better. And don't get me wrong, we had a 2-point loss and a 3-point loss that we're talking about in the first 6 weeks of the season or first 5 weeks of the season, whatever it was. And just enough's enough. We're tired of this feeling, and we're not going to feel this way anymore. And that was certainly a powerful moment in that locker room. Because as a coach, I should say struggle, but you always worry and think about what you're going to say in that post-game locker room, win or lose, particularly after a heartbreaking loss in Tuscaloosa like we just had when we had a chance to win the game at the end, and everybody's looking at you. But that was the first time that I walked in that locker room, and there was rage, anger, whatever, about the loss. Not that we didn't feel that way about Ole Miss and LSU, don't get me wrong, but it was just a different feeling that day in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I mean, this team went on such a win streak, such a dynamic back half of the season last year, and players don't want to feel that way. And you can you put in all the work, and you want your results on the field to reflect that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you know what? He's exactly right. They should have been frustrated. The Bama loss was maybe as frustrating as the LSU loss. So many what could have been conversations last year because of some really frustrating losses. But I do love what he said. I think he's 100% right. They have to figure out how not to be in that situation again. You know?
He did go on to talk about the situation with Brett Bielema, saying that they had a great meeting himself, his staff there at South Carolina. The AD had a meeting, a dinner with the staff from Illinois, and everything was kosher before the game. And he said when it got into the heat of that moment with Brett Bielema, when he walked across the field and did that arms out kind of cross thing, he said, I had to defend my guys.
Yeah.
He says after that, it took a couple of weeks, but Brett Bielema did call them. They squared everything away, and they are good to go going forward.
Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville, former Major League Baseball player, good friend of the show. You've heard him on here recently. He'll join us again today, next, right here on the Fan Upstate. talk a little baseball, a little college baseball, as we bring in good friend of the show. You've heard him on the Fan Upstate many times, Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville, as his team off to another incredible start this season here in 2025. But, Coach, before we get into your team and what the Trailblazers have done in 2025, you told me you're stepping away from batting practice to do this interview. You guys have any of those torpedo bats up there yet?
Nah, no torpedo bats. They if a metal bat company launched some torpedo bats right now, that'd be pretty innovative that they were that of the game, because obviously metal bats take a long time to produce. And I don't even know if you could do it in college baseball, because they have exit velocity maxes for these bats. And the rules are a little bit more in depth for college baseball than they are for professional baseball. So there's a lot more flexibility in professional baseball model sizes and things. College baseball is a little more generic, but fascinating stuff going on. I got a good buddy that owns a wood bat company, and I was talking to him about it. It's really interesting stuff.
You know, Landon, I played high school ball back in the day. I was terrible. You certainly would not have given me a recruiting look. But from looking back 25 years ago to not looking at a baseball bat until 10 years later to looking at a baseball bat now, the evolution has been pretty substantial over the last 25 years or so. Which bat that you have ever coached players using or you used yourself, like what era had the most pop? Like if you could say, all right, the NCAA said you could bring that one back, you would vote for, I want that bat.
Well, so my senior year, I skipped my senior year of high school. My junior year of high school, my last year of playing high school baseball, that was still -5. So the length to weight differential was allowed to be -5 ounces. So if you had a 34-inch bat, you could have a 29 ounce bat. When I went to college my freshman year, they switched that to -3. So that was a major change then. I mean, bats were crazy, and that's when home runs and stuff were at its peak in college baseball. When they went to -3, home runs came down a little bit. And then, obviously, I guess what was the era when South Carolina won its national championships, that was kind of the dead ball era of college baseball, partially because they changed the bats, but also because of the balls. That was before they went to the flat seam ball. So you had a combination of deader bats with high seam balls and just didn't go anywhere. So those were, I think it was 2009, 10, 11, those years, least number of home runs and stuff like that. Then they lowered the seams on the baseballs, and the home runs started coming back. And then they've improved the bats kind of consistently here over the last 10 years. So I'd say they're pretty hot right now. But for me personally, the Easton Red Line and the Easton Z-Core, that era in my career, those bats are about as hot as they came. That crossover between -5 to -3. There's some other ones that are really good too. But I'd say my era at South Carolina, we had some pretty good bats. And then I think the ones that these guys are swinging now are pretty good, to be honest with you.
Landon, Diesel and I have talked a lot about the torpedo bats. Before we get to your team real quick, what do you think the direction, or where do you think the direction of baseball, I mean, coming from somebody who played at the highest level as you did, the direction of baseball, where do you think it's going with these new torpedo bats?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see that, to be honest with you. I think that there's a couple of different routes it goes. I mean, one route is that baseball gets restrictive and says that the stuff's not allowed, that the rules weren't interpreted the right way, and they need to be a little bit, they add some amendment, kind of adding a little bit more description to what the bat can do. Because right now it's kind of vague, it's got to be smooth and, can't be bigger than 2.58 inches in diameter or whatever it is. And so they may get the rules a little bit more descriptive, I guess. That would be one thing I could see happening. If not, then I think this might be something that's here to stay. And what you'll see is technology will show these bat companies, they'll be able to personalize the barrel per hitter. So what they're talking about with Volpe, the shortstop for the Yankees, is that he hits more balls on the label. So they've slid his sweet spot down, and, that's helping him. So they'll find other hitters that they hit more balls toward the end cap, and they'll slide the barrel that way a little bit. I think that's intriguing because all it is just kind of taking a bunch of reps and doing the data and kind of figuring out where your sweet spot as a hitter is. So I think that's probably the route you'll see, is that bats will get a little bit more. Like when I played, there's 20 different models of bats, but it's like an M110 handler with a 243 barrel, and that's called a B345. It's really like the same 7 models. You just change the handle, the grip, the little things here and there. But like this is totally different. This is they can personalize the sweet spot of the bat to the hitter, which is it's kind of, to me, I think it's fascinating. They haven't thought of that in the last 100 years, to be honest with you.
It's absurd, Landon, that Elly De La Cruz got hands on one of these things for the first time in pregame batting practice, and then goes out and hits 2 home runs, and I think had seven RBIs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd. You would think that it would take a hitter a little time to adapt to a new bat. How do you think Major League Baseball, if this bat is here to stay, should allow pitching to adapt to try to overcome the torpedo bat? I mean,
I think that they don't need to do anything with pitching. They've already done enough in recent years to help pitching. If we're going to be honest, I mean, the pitch clock helped pitching. Some of the rules have definitely been beneficial to pitching, in my opinion. So that's why, to me, you've seen a little bit of a batting averages have dropped across the league. Strikeouts are way up. And that's why baseball was struggling a little bit several years ago with, fan attendance or viewership and things like that. So you've seen baseball come back with some rule changes to try to make the game more exciting. They've made the bases bigger. They've made, you can only pick off a couple times before you can't pick off again. They're trying to encourage more stolen bases. The strike zone, what they're talking about doing with the automated strike zone, is going to shrink the strike zone, which will help hitters. Pitch clock was something they thought would speed the game up and help viewership, but actually what it did is it helped pitchers, and it actually hurt hitting. So I think the torpedo bat is something that could be good. You don't need to even the playing field. Pitchers already have the advantage. I think more runs, more home runs, more excitement probably helps the viewership of baseball. So I'm all for more. I'm a hitter at heart. I'm all for more runs, more home runs, more excitement.
We're joined by Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville. The baseball team 29-8 on the season, 14-7 in conference play. Coach, what have you learned about your team thus far?
We're inconsistent. That's one thing I would say. No, we have a good team. We have good pitching. We have a very good offense, but the offense has just been a little streaky. We're top 10 in the country in a lot of offensive stats, and we'll go have a couple game stretch where we just can't score, and that's been a little head scratching. But if you told me when the season started we'd be 29-8 through 37 games or whatever it is, I'd probably take that. But we've lost 5 games by 1 run and 1 game by 2 runs. So 6 of our 8 losses are, games that we feel like look back at, we could easily have won, change a play here or there, get a hit here or there, make a play here or there. We probably win. So I've been telling my guys, like, hey guys, we're really, we're really 35-2. Y'all beat yourself 5 times. Or whatever the math is on that. So, good team. I think we got to get hot down the stretch here. We've been a little banged up, lost the starting pitcher to injury, lost an outfielder to injury, lost a catcher to injury. So, we've been a little banged up, but we're starting to get guys healthy, and we're in good place in the region. I think we're going to probably be in the top 1 or 2 in the region in the polls. So that'll help us hopefully host if we can stay on this trajectory. But we're 3rd place in our conference. So, it's kind of weird to be, 1st or 2nd in the region and 3rd in your conference, but all of our losses except 1 have been conference losses. So, but here we are last month, got a good team, and I think we can get hot and make some noise, hopefully.
Yeah, Coach, I don't think you're going to find a lot of people from the outside, at least, that would look at this program and look at your last 5 or 6 years and use the word inconsistent. But, you're a coach. You're allowed to be tough on yourself. You hear from a lot of the best coaches, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, ice hockey, whatever it is. They say they have the ability to pick the brains of other coaches who are highly successful, whether it be through conversations or through reading their books. You know, Don Staley down in South Carolina, highly consistent, able to get back to the Final Four again. What can you point to that you've learned, not necessarily from Don, but if you got an example from Don that you want to point to, great, that you can say, like, you picked up from an interdisciplinary coach and say, I want to apply that to how I do things?
I learned a lot from Coach Tanner, my college coach. He was a very consistent presence in our program. I mean, I played there for 4 years, and he was never not at the field in practice in 4 years. He never missed a day. And he brought it every day. He was competitive every day. He did not allow mediocrity. He pushed us even when we were the number one team in the country or whatever we were doing. Like he figured out ways to challenge us and make us be better. And so I do all those same things. I mean, we're sitting here in practice today, and I'm hard on them, making them hit line drives, making bets with them, and challenging them, creating competition. Telling them you can't hit 12 line drives in a row. Stuff, just you push their buttons and you make them never get complacent. So I think that's a big thing for us is that we are not going to feel we won 5 games last week and went 5-0 and we're ranked whatever in the country. Like it'd be easy to sit back and say, oh, we're a good team. We got this. No, that's not. You never do that. What can we do better? Hey, we left that guy on third base with 1 out. We should have got him in somehow. We didn't make that double play that could have got us out of an inning. We got to make that. So just staying on them is one thing. And then I think the next thing is I just hate losing that much. I think I love to win, but I hate to lose even more. So, having my players kind of hopefully mirror that from me, that losing is something that they just can't deal with. That that they lose sleep at night over it. Like maybe that's not a great life lesson because you're going to lose sometimes, and baseball is a game of adversity. But I just teach my guys refuse to lose somehow. And if you do, let it eat you alive. The wins are supposed to happen. And, I think I got a bunch of guys, I know I do, that hate to lose like I do, and that's why you don't lose a lot.
Coach, when you look at the conference, obviously there are several good teams every single year in your conference that you have to go through. But this weekend, a series at the University of Mount Olive since 2012, 25 wins, 25 losses. Do you feel like, I guess this is a two-part question, do you feel like Mount Olive has been the one consistent program or the top consistent program that really gives you that battle year in and year out since you've been in North Greenville? And the second part of that is, what do you expect this weekend?
They're obviously one of our rivals, and they've always been a top program in our conference. What's interesting that you bring that record up since 2012, I just had somebody send me, and I don't know why it happened. It's just random. Like somebody did some data and sent it to me, but it was my record as a head coach versus all the teams we play. And I was kind of surprised against Mount Olive. I think we are 24-14 in my career against Mount Olive. So we have handled them pretty well over the years. But one thing is we have never won a series at their place since I've been here. We've won 1 out of 3, and we've swept them at our place a couple times, but we've never beat them in a 3-game series at their place. So I know that is a bucket list item for a couple of our seniors. They talked about it. We've always handled them here in regular season at our place, and we've handled them in the regionals or super regionals or conference tournament either. We've always had good records against them, but when we go to their place, we haven't had a lot of success. So that's our goal this weekend. We want to go up there and win a series. We really want to sweep them, but ultimately we want to win the series, and I think we have a team that can do it, so we'll see what they're made of.
Landon Powell, head coach of the NGU Trailblazers, joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Can you give us a little early scouting report on Mount Olive, the Friday starter, Saturday starter? You got a little time to rest up for them. Is it a little more strategery at this point, or are you? Can you go into that for me?
Yeah, they have good arms. They're one of the better pitching teams in our league, so they're going to be good on the mound. They play good defense. They're well coached. So historically, they've been a really good offensive team, and they've been pretty dangerous in their lineup. This year, their offense is a little down. They've scored a lot less runs than we have. I think we've scored maybe 350 runs or something like that, and they're down in the 180s or something. So we've when you look at the math on paper, you look at the stats on paper, it very much favors us. But that's why you play the game. And Mount Olive is we're a rival for them and have been the last 10 years. So I'm sure they're going to give us their best game, but they're not as offensive as they've been in the past. But they can pitch. So we also can pitch, and we are still offensive. So as long as we go up there and play our brand of baseball and execute and do things we're supposed to, I feel good about the matchup.
Coach, we always appreciate your time. Best of luck this weekend and the rest of the season, and we'll talk to you again soon. We love it talking to you every
Thanks for having
single
me
time.
on, man. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Landon Powell, the head baseball coach. As I was saying, love having him on, just full of knowledge. Fantastic interview, as always. Diesel, for those that don't know, Mount Olive, who they're playing this week, they're a powerhouse in Division II baseball. We talk a lot about Division I, but I believe 2008 national champions, very rich history. Mount Olive, North Carolina. I don't know exactly where. I've never been up there, but you from North Carolina, you might know better than me. But they're always a powerhouse in baseball. And to his point, it's going to be a lot of fun. And you know what, man? People talk about it all the time when you say D1 or D2 baseball. I remember when you and I last year were talking about Landon Powell possibly being a candidate for the South Carolina job. They say, "Whoa, you hadn't coached D1." Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Go look at these D2 rosters. Go look at the D2 rosters. It's D1 talent. The D1 players, a lot of the times, some rosters, 50, 60, 70% D1 players. So I've always hated that argument. Like, you can't coach D1 baseball because you've only coached D2. No, D2 is a number. There's a lot of D1 guys on D2 rosters.
And I remember asking, I don't remember which guest it was, about, coaching searches, guys who are going to kind of be next up in the rung of coaches. And he said, it seems like now it's so much more of the quality assistant at a big-time program are the ones getting those next job opportunities, not so much the ones who are highly successful at a slightly smaller program. But Wesley asks, is their mascot an olive? Figured Diesel was the right person to ask. No, their mascot is not an olive. Their mascot are the Spartans, but they are olive green.
They are
if
green,
that helps.
yeah, they are.
And the University of Mount Olive.
Where is it?
It's northeast of Fayetteville.
Okay.
So if you drew a triangle from Fayetteville north to Raleigh and then southeast to Mount Olive.
Okay.
And you'd have an equalateral triangle between Fayetteville, Raleigh, and Mount Olive.
The only question
we
obviously with Coach Powell, at batting practice and them probably about to run through a couple of sessions, didn't have a ton of time with them. But Diesel, the only question that I did not get to ask and I was curious about was what his thoughts were and are being a South Carolina graduate on first-year Pulmonary.
Ooh.
1-7. And look, I mean, the reality of it is South Carolina baseball, with the rich tradition and history that Landon Powell was a part of, the fans aren't happy. And I don't know what he would have said or how he would have answered that, but obviously being a former Gamecock, I'm sure he still keeps up with them pretty good.
Yeah, I know a lot of fans wanted Landon for that opportunity last year. Ultimately didn't come to him, and we don't know how close he was in the process of interviewing for that job, being considered for that job. But I think a lot of South Carolina fans probably want to see him take an opportunity at somewhere else, a high mid-major or something like that. And a high mid-major, that's kind of an oxymoron. Yeah. A good mid-major. And then take the job at South Carolina. If you do that, I'm not sure you get him because, with coaching, it's so much of a timing issue. He may take a job, and I'm just making this up off the top of my head, right? Landon Powell could take a job at South Alabama, find himself to be very happy there, and go on good runs and never leave South Alabama or wherever he may go. So I would say take the chance on him because clearly he's a fantastic baseball coach. And if the whole Pulmonary situation doesn't work out, whether it's next year or the year after if South Carolina chooses to move on from Paul, you got to pick up that phone and make Landon say no to you.
I've had a couple of conversations with good friends of mine who are big South Carolina baseball fans, and I'll tell you this. I know Pulmonary has forgotten more baseball than we'll ever know, but there are a lot of people who are not happy with the direction. Look, it's his first year, right? And Pulmonary probably will get some blame where blame's not due at South Carolina in this first year because he hasn't really had time to get his program in. I just wonder, Diesel, if at the end of the year or at the end of next year, Paul Mainieri, if the thought goes through his mind of, oh, maybe I should have stayed in retirement. I'm not saying that happens. I'm curious as to if that thought goes through his mind or not.
It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Some news to catch up on. We already did our Daily Wires, Cole, but this stuff is coming at us so fast. Some news, especially in the SEC, on the way. And I'm going to throw a little screwball at you next as well. poor Cole Bryson.
I got.
Just got.
I did. How funny with this segment coming up, too.
Oh, man. The April Fool's bucket o' waffle fries from Chick-fil-A.
I mean, a big bucket.
They got you.
And it was a real picture, though. That's the bad
Yeah.
part. It was shout out to Chick-fil-A of Greenwood, who had it on Facebook.
Can I unveil something? You may choose not to ever do radio with me again. I don't really care for the Chick-fil-A waffle fry.
Oh, my God. You're an idiot.
Like, plain Chick-fil-A waffle fries are awful. Awful.
They're not awful. They're just not as good.
They're awful
I'd eat
because I don't like the one that's got the little outer skin of the potato on it.
Oh, my God.
I don't
it's so
like
good.
it because they soak up the oil. They're a little too oily for me. But
you
no,
dip them in the Chick-fil-A sauce?
No. Here's the thing. A lot of times when I'm on my way to the station, I get out of the house a few minutes late. There's a Chick-fil-A along my way. I can stop and get Chick-fil-A. And when you're driving, especially when you drive a manual, you can't really have like sauces and ketchups and all this kind of stuff. So like I do the nugs and the fries plain just to keep things cleaner, right? And it's disappointing, but like I don't want to get all the way to the station and have it get cold.
You've got to start what no.
Right. We need a more efficient.
That's why you think it's plain.
Delivery system.
So here's the deal. I will say this, not to agree with you, because I don't want to agree with you on this, but I don't ever eat anything from Chick-fil-A that doesn't get dipped in sauce.
Oh, it's the Polynesian sauce. That's the way to go.
If you have a sandwich, the sandwiches are great.
That's a show segment. We power rank the Chick-fil-A sauces
and do them. Well, you got to taste them.
Yeah, of course.
So if it's a sandwich, it has to have a ton of mayonnaise, right? That's my sauce for that. If it's nuggets or strips, it goes in the Polynesian. The fries for me go in the Chick-fil-A or Polynesian. But
what is Chick-fil-A sauce? I've never actually gotten Chick-fil-A sauce. Not once, because the Polynesian is goat to me. I don't even. I'm gonna
DoorDash.
I don't feel the need
fries
to
and sauce
try.
right now.
I don't feel. By the way, I want you to know
I'm not
this.
kidding.
Cole.
I'm not joking. I'm so mad right now.
I do want you to know that I did try a Wendy's fry dunked in a chocolate frosty. It was all right.
It's pretty good one.
No, it was all right. I mean, look, the extra salty fries, the extra salty fry dunked into the frosty, the sweetness. I get it. I get why people like it. It just didn't like knock my socks off or anything. But here's the correct way. Here's my way. It's correct because it is my way of eating a Chick-fil-A waffle fry.
Okay.
You got to you got to pour the ketchup on top. By the way, I'm a topper, not a dunker. And then
that's fine.
I like to shake the salt and the pepper into the ketchup, right? That way it sticks.
I like that.
Because the people who just put salt and pepper onto a dry fry and then try to dunk it into ketchup, it's all going to fall off, or like 85% of it's going to fall off before you get it into the ketchup and then to your mouth.
No, I'm with you on that. How did we get on? Oh, so the whole point was
the waffle
bucket of waffle fries. I saw it.
Yeah.
I told Diesel during the break.
They should though.
Chick-fil-A they're now selling
why not
big freaking buckets of waffle fries.
Like they have the party platter of nugs. Why wouldn't they have the party bucket of waffle fries? They should.
I DoorDashed an order of fries from Chick-fil-A here.
How much did that order of fries cost you? $15?
With Chick-fil-A sauce. No, not that almost. With Chick-fil-A sauce.
That is the laziest thing. I hate people who DoorDash.
I don't DoorDash a lot. But because
the people who do it all the time, I don't like those people.
Here's the problem, though. You just said out of your mouth you've never had fries and Chick-fil-A sauce.
I never have.
Well, that's about to
change.
So
what is Chick-fil-A sauce? Explain it to me. Is it like Thousand Island? Is it mayonnaise mixed with something spicy?
Like mustard based kind of, man. I can't believe it.
Is it mayonnaise and mustard mixed?
No. Be real. No, that's Big Mac sauce.
Is it?
Do you know that?
I mean, I knew it was. I knew it was mayonnaise
maybe
based.
Something else.
You know, white sauce. When you get white sauce from a Chinese restaurant,
like shrimp sauce.
Shrimp sauce, yeah, that's also mayonnaise based.
It is. Mayonnaise is amazing. Who doesn't love
it?
Mayonnaise?
It is. God, now we're just talking about food this entire segment. I was in a sandwich shop yesterday, and I won't say the name because I don't want this to affect their business. I watched them refill the mayonnaise little tray on the line there with something other than Duke's. I almost turned and walked out.
So like the bottle,
It offended me.
the bottle.
It was a huge, like, gallon-sized tub
Really?
of mayonnaise.
And they poured it in the squeeze bottle.
No. They poured it into, the removable little
The aluminum pan.
pans. Yeah, they poured it into one of those, but it wasn't Duke's.
So let me
It
ask you
just
a
said
question.
real mayonnaise
They
on
put
it.
mayonnaise in a pan, not in a squirt bottle.
No, it's not in a squirt bottle. It's like a deep tray.
How do they get it out?
It's like four with a big spatula.
I've never seen that.
It's
before.
like a 4x8 rectangle that's also about like 4 inches
I've never
deep.
seen that.
I mean, they put all their pickles and the other sides and tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. They put those in there
pans,
too. So yeah. Cole, it didn't help the Atlanta Braves last night, but I don't know if you noticed, and probably nobody did because the game didn't start until 4 a.m. this morning.
I made it to the fourth inning, by the way.
Freddie Freeman was not in the lineup. Do you know why Freddie Freeman was not in the lineup?
I do know why.
So the verbiage here, you got to be very careful when you say these words out loud because they can and will be taken in a strange context. Manager Dave Roberts on why Freddie Freeman was not in the lineup last night for the Dodgers. He had a little mishap in the shower,
Yeesh.
and it kind of swelled up a little bit. Whoa.
Yeesh.
What exactly does he mean? Freddie Freeman slipped in the shower, hurt his surgically repaired ankle, and he didn't play.
So
he didn't play last
I
night.
have a funny story about this. This story. Last night I took the Dodgers -1.5, which was the run line, right? A buddy of mine and myself, these were on the phone. We said, we got to take the Dodgers tonight, right? The Braves suck. So we said, yeah, we're going to take the Dodgers. We both bet the Dodgers, which was the run line, which was 1.5 runs. After I bet the Dodgers, Diesel, I saw the article where Freddie Freeman slipped in the shower. And I said, oh, my, you've got to be kidding. One of their best players goes down because of a shower fall. However, it didn't matter.
Yeah, no, it didn't matter. 6-1.
It didn't matter.
6-1 final score. The Dodgers put up 9 hits.
God.
The Braves put up just 4 hits. The Dodgers are 6-0. The Braves are 0-5.
They suck. Tom, who is on hold, tweeted you and I earlier today and said, I guess enough people weren't positive, like Madcraft said, right? Is that right? Let's go to Tom in Somerville. Tom, I don't know what's on your
We
mind.
all just need to pray more as Braves fans.
Whatever works. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Cole, you can't be negative. It's not fair to this team that works so hard. They work so hard to get 4 hits and 1 run. It's not fair to them to be negative. So, I'm going to come on here today and I'm going to drop a groundbreaking bomb.
Uh-oh.
The Atlanta Braves will get a win tonight. I'm going to take Madcraft's advice. I'm going to try to be positive. And tomorrow at 5:08, when I call you again because the Braves are 0-6, I might have a different tone. But for the time being, I was negative yesterday, so I'm going to be positive today. I'm going to take Madcraft's advice, and I'm going to see if it works.
I'll do you one better, Tom. I will do you one better. I'll be positive with you. All right, let's do it.
Tom,
Here we go. The Braves are going to win tonight. We're positive. Chris,
On the count of 3, can we all give a
Yes.
On the count, Tom, you ready?
What are we doing?
We're doing we're meditating, so we're gonna Okay, 1,
No, you
2.
don't.
You jumped the gun there. 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
hearing Tom delay.
The Braves
So,
will win tonight.
The Braves will win tonight. We're positive, Madcraft. Also, Tom, it does help that Chris Sale's on the mound, right?
Absolutely. He's an absolute stud. If he could hit for us, I'd say let him hit because he wouldn't do any worse than what we have. I'm done. I'm going to be positive.
I hear the Braves need a leadoff hitter. Can he hit leadoff?
Yikes.
He might. The Braves are going to get 9 hits tonight.
Oh,
They're gonna get 9
God.
hits.
They hadn't had 9 hits all season, Tom.
They're due. They're due. We're going to be positive. The Braves are due. They're going to win tonight. I'm going to be asleep. I'm not going to stay up to watch it, but the Braves are going to win tonight.
Tom, you strike me as a bit of a superstitious sports fan. Do you put like change in your right pocket and you have to wear a certain headband or a hat to make sure you get the win? What were you wearing the last time the Braves won?
My navy blue Brave shirt. I sit in the same chair. I might have to burn that chair and get a new chair.
Yeah,
That
no
might
kidding.
be what the problem is.
Well, you can't now. There's a burn ban in South Carolina.
It's true.
Well, hey, the government ain't gonna find me. But Diesel, you're spot on. When it comes to baseball, particularly, I'm extremely superstitious. So we got to figure out something. We got to figure out something and change this mojo around.
And Tom, real quick before we let you run, Diesel and I were talking about Chick-fil-A a minute ago because I got on an April Fool's joke that said Chick-fil-A was now selling buckets of waffle fries. Diesel said that he's never had a waffle fry dipped in Chick-fil-A sauce, so I DoorDashed Chick-fil-A sauce and waffle fries to the station, like 10 minutes away from right now. Diesel's going to try them, hopefully. Do you agree that waffle fries and Chick-fil-A sauce is the best route available?
I like the honey mustard, but it is good in Chick-fil-A sauce. And if they made a bucket of waffle fries, I'd just put a tent in the parking lot. I'd live there.
They thought they were joking, and then they just came up with something that everybody's going to want.
And take the sauce and pour it all over the fries. Add you some chicken. Oh my God!
And the mac and cheese. Don't forget the mac and cheese.
That's a good point. They do have good mac and cheese.
That's right. Put it all on there.
I like
it's a potluck at Chick-fil-A.
Their mac and cheese is made with prayers and sharp cheddar. That's
Y'all have
sure.
good Chick-fil-A's in Somerville, Tom?
We got one really good one. I try to go there every Thursday. So
why Thursday?
It's just easier on Thursdays. We had an office lunch today, and we had Raisin Cane's.
Oh, God, we don't have that here.
That DoorDash French fries can't get here any faster.
I love Raisin. Have you ever had Raisin Cane's, Diesel?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's great.
So good.
Thank you for the call,
Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate you. My wife got earlier today by an April Fool's. Conesty, Conesty Nature Preserve.
Yeah.
They put out on their social media that it had been 4 years since they changed their name to Conesty Nature Preserve, and that they had gotten the itch again. As of today, this is what the post says. As of today, we will officially be known as the Preserve at Conesty Lake. And my wife bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Is that Conesty Lake in Brevard? Is that where that is?
Conesty over here in Malden.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Got you. No,
I guess.
I'm sorry. I was thinking, isn't there a Conesty, North Carolina, too? I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I didn't know there was one over here in Malden. The name change she got. I see what you're saying. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking of something else in North Carolina. I'm not good with my geography. Jarrett Tripp on the text line says, dip the fries in Chick-fil-A sauce and sriracha sauce. It's phenomenal.
Whoa.
I don't like
now
sriracha. I don't really
You
love
don't like sriracha?
I don't love it. I'll eat it.
You don't like anything spicy, though.
No. I like spice. Just certain kinds. Texter says, mix honey mustard and barbecue and you have Chick-fil-A sauce. Not lying. I don't know if that's true. Is that true?
This feels like, remember when you were a kid and you got access to one of those fountain drink machines and you'd make we called them suicides.
Suicide. Oh,
yeah, you mix everything together
Everybody
in the
did.
same.
Yeah.
It's just a cup of brown sugar. And people loved it. We loved it as kids.
Suicides.
Now, if you had one of those now, you'd probably think it was awful.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, you're right. I used to do that all the time. It was the best thing ever. Suicide.
Isn't it crazy that the word for it is the same no matter where you go?
Yeah, it is. I've not heard that in a long time.
Here we were as 10-year-olds calling them suicides. I remember working the concession stand for high school basketball games. Back there just filling cups with ice and drinks. And I used to sneak myself suicide every shift.
I love them.
It's great.
Now you can't do them, though, because we have these fancy new drink machines where you have to touch screen. I hate those.
It takes 10 minutes to pour a drink.
Oh, my God. If you get behind somebody in a touch.
Who doesn't know what they're doing.
Oh, you'll be there. Grandma, you'll be there for 6 hours.
How do you use this thing? Move
And
out of the way, Edna, and I'll show you.
Honestly, sometimes you do hit it 5 times before it works. Speaking of not working, Dewey wants to chime in. What's up, Dewey?
Yes. I hate those little touch screen drink machines.
I do too.
The same thing.
Well, you're not supposed to touch them with your tongue, Dewey.
Well, I try not to.
Are you tall enough to reach those?
About barely. I'm 3'6".
Hobbit sized.
But anyways,
Anyways.
yeah, the old ladies especially they take forever and they don't know what they want, and then. But I go to QT, and you can go to QT. They have all the little drinks there in the fountain drinks, and you just pour Mountain Dew and then root beer and then Dr. Pepper.
That's healthy.
And you mix it all up, and then you have like a little suicide drink, like Diesel was saying. But too bad they don't have real beer. They don't have real beer. But
not yet.
Not on tap.
One day they will. Yeah, but I want to comment on the bat situation that y'all talked about earlier. And the only thing I want to say is, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it seems to me that it's another way for baseball to legally cheat, so to speak.
Legally cheat. Is that oxymoron? Legally
because
cheat?
It's just cheating across the board in baseball. You had the Jerickson Profar guy get using drugs, and
but that's illegal. They got banned for that.
Well, he got caught.
You got caught. You're right.
And the bat thing, no one knows anything about it, so they just go along with it. And soon they're going to say it's illegal, and then they're going to get in trouble for it. But the whole point is that it increases the offense, but I think JD, which I still don't like him, but JD said it makes sense that if you have 16 to 17 to 16 type of games, the games are going to last forever, and that's kind of counterproductive to shorten the games. Offensive games take forever.
Well, why don't we just play 5 innings instead?
We could do that. But
if you play 5 innings, and you're still going to end up with the same scores that you get now.
Yeah, but then you're going to have your traditionalist grandpas complaining.
Yeah.
Not back in my day. So they're just going to complain.
Wow.
Complain.
I didn't know Dewey could do voices.
I didn't either.
That's fascinating.
Wow.
Did you see Jesse Chavez got kicked off the team?
I don't know if it was kicked off was the right term, Dewey.
Well, same thing. He's not a part of the team, but he'll be back in about a month.
Probably
they'll
true.
be saying, I made a mistake. And then they'll be back. And Michael Harris accidentally hit a home run last night.
It's not allowed when you play for the Braves.
He said he accidentally. That's good, dude. That's good. Thanks for the call, dude.
I really don't think he tried to hit that home run. I really don't.
Appreciate
I think he was trying
you,
to strike out.
Can we get There it is.
There you go.
Accidentally hit a home run.
Anderson University is getting in on the April Fools as well. We had a Tolo text us the Instagram link. Anderson has changed their mascot from, what were they, the Spartans, the Trojans?
Trojans.
The Trojans. They're not the Trojans anymore. They are now the Anderson Fighting Squirrels, and their new logo is like a jacked up, looks like an angry squirrel.
I like that.
And then you've got fighting squirrels and text underneath that, and then right below that you got 2 nuts, like acorns. You got acorns directly below the Anderson Fighting Squirrels. They even put out a football field, like 50-yard line logo.
That's
let me
great.
see, Cole. This is bad. I'm gonna take a photo with it of my phone.
And
then I'm gonna turn it around and show it to you because I can't move.
That's incredible. Like, shout out to Anderson for. Oh my gosh.
The Fighting Squirrels.
Is it bad that I like that logo?
That's good.
It's a good
logo. It's better than Trojans. Let's be honest.
Is it better than Spartan Burgers?
Is it better than Trailblazers?
Oh yeah, anything. I don't know.
That's good. Man.
I like that.
I like that logo.
Fighting that squirrel looks
you
so
telling
mad.
me people would not flock to buy that? I mean, South Carolina fans and even non-South Carolina fans flock to buy gear that says Cox on it. Why would they not fight to get a squirrel with 2 big old acorns?
That is
hanging
an
down?
incredible. Corn Chip on the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line says Hendersonville's PD's April Fools was pretty good as a former PR Cruiser owner. I don't know what it would tell us what it
PT Cruiser.
But no, tell us what was the April Fools? What did I miss? Hendersonville's PD
Hendersonville Police Department's April Fools was pretty good as a former PT Cruiser owner.
But what did they do?
Are you telling us, Corn Chip, that they put like the Hendersonville Police Department on the side of a PT Cruiser and said, We're changing our cop cars to PT Cruisers?
That'd have been funny. I don't know if that's what they did or not, but that would have been good. I have not played any April Fool's jokes on anyone today. Honestly, I'm not creative like that. I hadn't had time, and I'm not creative enough.
Honestly, I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot that it was April Fool's. Like, with Halloween costumes, I think of stuff at the last minute, and I put together last-minute costumes.
Same
with this.
Tell me if this one's too far. Buddy of mine called me this morning. He was mad. Real mad. He got on an April Fool's joke.
Oh.
His buddy texted him and said, hey, because this had happened before. Diesel was true before. He said, hey, my buddy with the water treatment has 3 extra passes for Thursday of the Masters. Can you swing it?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Is that too far?
That's cruel.
I mean,
because grown men in the South, they spend their lives on a waiting list, waiting for an opportunity to go to the Masters.
What
Pretty
would you
soon,
have done if somebody-
Rick's going to call us and say, I got 2 extra tickets for the Masters. You want to go?
Yeah, no kidding. He had 2 tickets with the Braves yesterday.
Yeah, those tickets hadn't come in the mail yet. Thanks.
Would you get upset if somebody did that to you? I mean,
oh, God, yeah.
2
I
Masters
really want to go to the Masters. I mean, we haven't even talked about the Masters yet. That's
next week.
A week away.
Next week. Yeah. This today's Tuesday, right? Mm-hmm. And then starts Wednesday? Thursday? Wednesday's the what do they do on Wednesday with the old men?
The caddy stuff or the seniors tour or the putt-putt competition.
Yeah.
We got a phone call here, Cole. Let's see if we can grab that real quick before we run off to break. Because coming up in the next segment, we're going to be talking about our wire-to-wire bracket challenge.
You called it.
Uh-oh.
You called it.
Is it Rick?
Rick and Greer. He must have been waiting.
I manifested it, made it happen.
What's up, Rick?
I got a joke for you. You're going to laugh. It's I guess it's a April Fool's joke.
Okay.
Did you know Dolly Parton just bought Harris Teeter and Piggly Wiggly?
Did not know that.
She's changing the name to Wiggly Teeters.
Wow. I mean, you got a chortle out of me. That's it.
That wasn't no good?
I don't think
it was a 2 out of 10 level joke.
I think it was 1 out of 10.
Oh, my Lord.
Rick, if you're going to start calling this show with jokes, you got to up your game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a better joke.
Is that the only joke you've ever told?
Oh no, I know a lot of good ones.
Well, it probably won't be fitting for radio, but
well, yeah. Well, hope we don't have any Polacks listening.
Any what? What do you say?
Polacks. Derogatory term from somebody from Poland, Cole.
How did the Polak die raking leaves?
Oh my God,
Are there any 4-letter words in the punchline?
Fell out of a tree.
And with that, thanks,
Solid
Rick.
joke, Rick. Thanks for the phone call.
We're gonna go to a break. How do you end? I mean, whew.
Just shut it down.
Shut it down. We are 1 hour away, Diesel, from baseball being back in Spartanburg. At 6:30 tonight, Wofford, USC Upstate. I don't know if I even, by the time I leave here, if I went, Diesel, and found park and it might be 7th or 8th inning, I thought about riding by to see what it looks like, but I'm excited, man. Baseball's back in Spartanburg. Who is leading the March Madness Bracket Challenge? Also in the next segment, Diesel, for the first time ever, will try waffle fries and Chick-fil-A. Are you hungry?
I'm ready.
Are you? I mean, really? I mean, I'm excited for you.
I'm sad that's all you ordered.
That's all I ordered. That's it. That's all I could afford. I had $4, and I gave them all $4. Diesel will try that. We'll talk a little March Madness next. Did I really spend money on fries and Chick-fil-A sauce and DoorDash? Well, if you're watching the stream, yes, I did, because it really upset me when Diesel said he's never had Chick-fil-A sauce.
Now the question is for you, Tolos, since he technically ordered it for me to try it, do I need to share?
Well, I can't. I'm on a strict diet.
A strict diet.
Yeah.
Well, better for me then, because I'm on a not so strict diet.
I don't know.
Well, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna open this thing up live just to prove that.
So
safe.
I think I messed up though, man. I think I messed up and ordered Chick-fil-A sauce. I was doing it fast, but I think I ordered, and let's see, you're gonna find out in like 10 seconds.
There's something heavy in
I
this,
think I
in this
ordered a
bag,
bottle
for
of
sure.
Chick-fil-A sauce. Did I? Did I order a whole freaking bottle?
We got the fries.
Get the fries.
Boom. And yes, you
Oh
did.
my gosh!
You ordered
it's
a whole
mini bottle
of the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Well, at least we have Chick-fil-A sauce now.
Wow.
I would eat those fries with you, but I am on a strict diet this week, so I'm not gonna. I don't want to break my diet because I've done really well.
Well, I need a plate here because
You
you know what? I'm
do.
just gonna pour this stuff right into the.
So the
into
only
the carton.
thing I'll say is, as I bring Jersey Joe on, who wants to weigh in while you get your Chick-fil-A sauce out.
I gotta take the sealed for your protection seal off.
Here's the only thing: when you go dip it, make sure the first one you get a good solid
good dip.
Yeah.
Well,
good
okay.
dip.
So I just peeled the label off and it already splooted on me.
Uh-oh. What's up, Jersey Joe?
Seriously, Diesel? No Chick-fil-A waffle fries?
See,
I didn't say I don't eat them.
No, he's never had them.
I've never had Chick-fil-A waffle fries with Chick-fil-A sauce on them.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, if I
Yeah.
said that wrong, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Hey, I
Yeah,
heard
you
you guys
casting
talking about-
aspersions, and I don't like that.
Hey, I heard you guys talking about April Fool's pranks, and I tried to weigh in before, but I couldn't get through.
Go ahead.
Back in the late 80s, when I was still living up in Jersey, I used to listen to this Pennsylvania rock station. It was WZZO out of Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
And there was these two guys. They were called the Bearman and Keith. They had the morning radio show.
Uh-huh.
Well, they worked from 7 to 10 every morning. Well, at 10 o'clock, the next person never showed up.
Oh.
So they got screwed on April Fool's Day. And then when the next person was supposed to come in at 3 o'clock, he never showed up.
Oh.
They got stuck doing the whole shift until 7 o'clock at night.
They're gonna work the whole day?
I'd have laughed. All right, Jersey
Boss
Joe.
don't pay me enough for that.
Do you think Diesel? Here we go. First, make sure
That
you
can't be the first one.
No,
I'm
you got to
just
get
getting
a
it out of the
big
way.
fry.
I'm getting it out of the way. Okay.
A big freaking
Big
juicy
fry. This is
fry.
one right here on top.
Does
Right
it have
here.
a lot of sauce on it, though?
It does.
You just spilled
man.
them. Sorry. Your wife's going to get mad at you.
Boom.
Here we go. Chick-fil-A sauce, Jersey Joe. Live reaction. Diesel first ever waffle fry with Chick-fil-A sauce. Oh, so it looks
What is
good.
this flavor? I'm trying to figure out what this flavor is. It is honey mustard based.
It is, isn't it?
It's honey mustard. Is it just honey mustard and mayo?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You think Chick-fil-A would go a little harder than that?
Yeah, they're not going to make it basic like that. I mean, it's first ever. What do you
Oh,
think?
man,
It's
that's
good.
good.
I'm telling you.
It's
I'm telling
better. It's better than a Wendy's fry and a Frosty.
Yes, it is. It is. You're right. Jersey Joe,
better
have you?
than that.
My daughter swears by the Chick-fil-A sauce.
It's so good. Have you had the Chick-fil-A sauce and the fries, Jersey Joe?
Yes, I have, but one other thing on the Chick-fil-A sandwich itself, do some buffalo sauce and ranch sauce.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks for the call, Jersey
Thanks,
Joe,
Joe.
man. Appreciate you, as always.
That's delicious,
Isn't it
man.
good?
I've been missing out.
I'm telling you, it's good. First ever. I'm so
Oh,
happy
man.
that you like
I'm not
it.
even going to do the rest of this
No,
segment.
you just take it all. I'd go in the office and just lay down and eat the rest of them. Now, what's interesting? You pour your sauce on the fries. I never do that. I always
You dip?
Yeah, I dip.
You're a dipper?
I'm a dipper. I
Now,
really
we
am.
instant poll for the Tolos.
Yeah.
Are you a dipper or a spreader?
I don't like all the mess. I feel like it's messy when you're a spreader. You know, you've already dropped 3 of them over there.
One. I dropped one, okay? One. And it was because I was trying to pull
The
the
big
big
one.
fry
Yeah.
out like you told me to.
Trying to get the big one.
I was trying to get the big one, and the little one just
So you go,
flopped.
I mean, pretty high rating on a 10?
That's a solid 7 of a sauce.
Oh, I'm telling you. The fries, like you said, they're not the best without any sauce.
It needs some salt and pepper, though.
Yeah, it does. When you go Chick-fil-A
Salt and pepper.
sauce, though, man. And it's killing me right now to not be able to eat those. because
Just to
I'm-
watch somebody live your dream right
it's
in
so
front of
good.
you.
It's so good. But you know what? It was worth every penny because now Diesel is. You can say that you had the Chick-fil-A sauce and the fries, so we're good now. Sorry, Madcraft did say I made it sound like he's never had Chick-fil-A before. I'm sorry, Madcraft.
I ate entirely too much Chick-fil-A. That's the problem. Is I ate way too much Chick-fil-A.
Speaking of,
I convinced myself it's healthier because Jesus is involved.
well, listen,
They're closed on Sundays.
It's one of those that I could eat every single meal.
We're not supposed to be eating in the studio. There's like rules against that. But
those are dumb rules. Those are dumb rules. Rules are made to be broken.
yeah, that's good. These are not going to finish the segment.
No, I love it. Hey, speaking of being good, let's look and see who is leading the wire-to-wire challenge as we head into the Final Four. I was in third before Tennessee lost to Houston, dropped me down to 12, but Brock and Gaffney still leading the charge at a solid number 1. Obviously, things can change. Yeah, he's off to a great start. Not off to a great start, but he's got a solid bracket there, 99.3%. Obviously, Diesel, things can change Saturday after those 2 games. But we do have the Armada captain, paramedic, elitist thing, whatever they are, in second. Play-by-play JB is in third. Kane is in fourth. Joey B is in fifth. JL sixth. Professor Lester, JB again, Forrest, Tolo, Gold Rush, Big Daddy, Tar Heel, and then there's me. It's probably the top 15 or so.
So in the top 10, and the top 10 consists of more than 10 names because there's some ties in there. How many Tolos and how many elitists?
1, 2,
do we
3,
have?
4 elitists.
4 elitists. So we have 1, 2.
Is that right? I think I
3,
counted that right.
4, 5, 6. We have 6. So it was 10 total people. Yes, 10 total in the top 10. I know that you're like, that's, of course, Diesel, it's 10 in the top 10, but there are ties here, okay?
There are ties.
So the Tolos are leading.
Yeah, as long as the paramedic elitists don't win the challenge outright on the 1.
So here's what all this is going to come down to, Cole.
Yeah.
Is of the elitists who are there in the top 10, Armada captain, Kane, Professor Lester, and Gold Rush all have Duke winning the national championship game. So this thing is designed where like every round you get more points for getting the correct answer.
Me and you are pulling for Houston.
Oh, we're pulling for Houston, and we need the Florida Gators to keep going because if the Florida Gators lose, we're in trouble.
You know what? That's an interesting question, though. Let's talk about that. If you were to say, Diesel, Duke's going to lose in the Final Four, let's just put that statement out there. Duke's going to lose in the Final Four. If that were to happen, do you feel like Houston has the best shot at beating them? Or if roles were reversed, Auburn would have the best shot, or the Florida Gators? Now, Auburn or Florida might see Duke, obviously, if one of the two, when one of the two advance, and if Duke advances, they'll play in the national championship. But of the 3, do you feel like Houston has the best shot at beating Duke? Because I do.
I think the weakest shot of beating Duke is Auburn.
Yeah,
I think honestly, like when we were power ranking, was it yesterday, the day before? I think you and I both had Houston and Florida as like a 2A, 2B situation. They were both really good.
Yeah.
I think Houston plays better defense than does Florida. So if you're going to make this thing a defensive struggle, but the problem is nobody is slowing Duke's offensive down.
But for our sake,
high 80s, low 90s this whole tournament.
Yeah, for you and I and anybody else to pick Florida or Auburn or Houston, you need Houston to win badly. And look, I'm with you. I don't think Florida or Auburn match up wonderful against Duke. If Duke moves on, they'll obviously face either Florida or Auburn, and I think Duke will win that game regardless. I wish I would have picked Duke. I did pick Florida. But I do feel like that when you look at Saturday's game at 8:49 on CBS, I do feel like Houston gives us the best shot at knocking off Duke in the Final Four, Diesel. And I think these two matchups, when you look at the games and within the game, the matchups within the matchup, I think both of these teams provide each other a really unique opportunity. I mean, you talk about Florida with some superstar talent. I think that game's going to be phenomenal. Obviously, we'll talk about it the next 3 days before Saturday arrives, but I just feel like Houston-Duke is the marquee what do they call? We're not wrestling guys, but what do they call the main event?
The main event.
The main event. The
Super Soaker.
Yeah, I feel like Houston Dukes, the two heavyweights. I think it's the heavyweight fight. I really do.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Florida and Auburn, because I think that could be a really good game.
Well, Florida's looked a little shaky, right? They've not had that killer instinct and just dominated teams in this tournament, and you have to.
Yeah, and Madcraft says doesn't matter, Duke's winning it all. Like it looks that way right now. I mean, it's hard to say that another team out there it looks as dominant as Duke has looked. And for those who picked Duke, credit to you. It was an easy pick. And look, I will say this. Even though I'm at, 12th or 11th in the bracket challenge, I don't really brag about that this year because this was a very easy year. I mean, it was just chalk. It was one seeds. It was Dukes, the Floridas, the Houstons, the Purdues of the world, that made deep runs. I'm excited. Obviously, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, we'll take a deeper dive. But I think both have the potential, Diesel, for all the conversation out there that's been had about this tournament being boring, which I don't think it's been at all. I think these two games in the Final Four could be the icing on the cake that everybody looks at and gets a taste of and thinks, man, what two great games those were. Maybe we do prefer it to go this way, just as we asked Rocco Miller yesterday. I think you're getting the four best teams here.
Well, it's kind of a self-defeating prophecy, right? If you see a blowout game, you don't think of it as a dominant performance by a really, really good team. You just say, oh, that game sucked. That game sucked. Not a good basketball game.
Yeah.
It's not fair. When we come back, Cole, friend of the show, Chris Phillips, said something on social media yesterday that I really did not like. Really did not like what Chris Phillips had to say. What did he say? That's next. I'm mad at Chris Phillips because he said something on social media that hurt me, Cole.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
He used the words halfway point when it comes to the college baseball season. And I took that personally. In the words of Michael Jordan, he says we're already at the halfway point, and that sucks, man, because college baseball is so much fun. The problem is the season's not long enough. They should extend it by another 20 games. Come on.
I was thinking yesterday, it feels like, and it's not a bad thing, but I don't know if it feels this way to others. To me, it feels like college basketball is so long. Like, it starts in October or November.
Well, then you get the Christmas break thing, and that kind of slows it down.
And here we are in April, and it's still going. I mean, I know for a lot of teams it's not, obviously, but college basketball feels like a freaking long season.
I mean, college baseball slows down once you get – slows down in the sense like it starts to drag in the postseason also, don't you think?
I think college baseball does go by fast compared to the other two.
I think it's because they're playing, 4, sometimes 5 games a week?
Yeah, they do play. I mean, that probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have more games, but I didn't realize we were already halfway through. Clemson, for example, what are they? They're 26-5 as of right now, and the last game is the 17th of May. So here we are.
It's not fun. It's not fun to think about. We're 6 weeks away from the season being done.
Yeah, it's quick. It's quick.
Yeah.
It's quick. But you know what makes it worth it? The baseball postseason. Oh, when you have teams involved, and I know South Carolina probably won't be this year, but last year being at Clemson for that Coastal Regional and Florida Super Regional, I don't think I've ever had as much fun at a baseball game. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. It was electric. Having a team locally that we cover that's that good late in the season, the environment, man, it's on. The environment at a postseason baseball game in college is unmatched.
Now, South Carolina fans might say, can we just hurry up and get this season over with? Because it's not going to get any easier for South Carolina down the stretch.
No, it's not.
They just got swept by Tennessee. They'll get right, hopefully, tonight, 7 o'clock against PC. And then they'll go on the road for a 3-game series against Mississippi State.
Okay, might win a game.
Yeah, you might win a game there.
But Dylan Eskew's out.
Then they got USC upstate, and then a 3-game series at Texas A&M.
I would say upstate's a gimme, but
I mean, at that point, just stay in Mississippi. Don't even bother coming home. Make USC upstate fly to you and just play them out there somewhere. 3-game series against Texas A&M, Citadel midweek, and then Ole Miss coming to Founders Park. That'll be their next SEC opponent for the South Carolina Gamecocks here in the state of South Carolina. That game is Thursday, April 17th. So not for
midway point, man.
Yeah.
How about that?
I don't like that. Clemson, we said this wrong earlier, Cole. Clemson is not playing a road game against Georgia Southern. They're playing a neutral site game at North Augusta in North Augusta.
Okay.
Which I rolled through North Augusta for the first time coming back from Florida through Statesboro. Rolled through North Augusta. That's the town that's got that the Irish Travelers
and the big prison
park, right?
Big prison too.
There's a big prison in North Augusta.
Murdaugh's there.
Is he?
Yeah,
just down the road.
Yeah. Only time when I come back from
the Gypsy, like the Irish Travelers.
Yeah,
you know that?
Yeah,
you know that area?
Yeah. And when I come back from Clarksville Lake, you got to go through there. Kind of, Augusta area.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think your old buddy Murdaugh. No, that's a neutral site.
Old pals. God, that old scamp. We used to go fishing and hunting. He was a real good shot.
It's. I mean, sometimes you just. Never mind. North Augusta, though.
He always paid, and so that's why I always said yes.
I don't blame you. Yeah. Georgia Southern should be talking about midweek baseball. Georgia Southern should be. I don't want to say a pushover, but Clemson should handle business.
They're better than 500 teams. So Clemson ought to beat them.
Should.
But I wouldn't be shocked if Clemson found themselves down 6 or 7 runs and had to make a big comeback because that's kind of the identity of this team. Again, they got to get that fixed. Cole, I saw this the other day, and it kind of gave me a funny feeling. And I want to get your thoughts on this. Okay, you know who the actress Drew Barrymore is, right? Famous actress. She's been in a lot of things for she had like a 40-year acting career.
What movie would I know her?
40 First Dates, or is it 50 First Dates? She's a fire starter.
Let me look her up.
The wedding singer.
Off the top of my head, I don't
know who she is.
What's her name again?
Drew Barrymore. She has a podcast because everybody has podcasts nowadays, right? And she talked about that she has an issue with women who think Mr. Clean is sexy. Mr. Clean, cartoon man. He's a cartoon man.
Bald guy. With earrings.
Bald guy, earrings, always wears white head to toe.
Yep.
And he kind of looks like Howie Mandel, but like younger and more jacked. She says it's weird that he is pumped and ready for action. And I feel uncomfortable when I see him because he's so sexual.
Oh my God.
Is it okay? We're getting into weird territory here with 60 seconds to go.
People
in
are
this
so
segment.
freaking weird.
Is it weird? Is it okay to think that a cartoon is hot?
It's not weird. I don't think.
Not like. I draw the line if it's a cartoon human. If it's a like people used to think. I don't remember her name from Space Jam. The female rabbit, the female bugs. People used to talk about her like she was hot. It's like that's weird.
It's weird.
That's weird. That's when you start getting into furry territory.
I think it's more weird though that she is making a big deal of Mr. Clean.
But women on the internet have been making a big deal about how hot Mr. Clean is for years.
Well, if he's hot, he's hot, isn't he?
I guess. I mean, Jessica Rabbit's hot, right? From Who Framed Roger Rabbits?
Yeah.
She was hot. It's okay
Jennifer
to admit.
Aniston was a cartoon, which come on, it's dumb.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's okay to admit it as long as it's a human cartoon. If it's anything else, it's weird.
Bunny Wabbit.
Stop. Go seek professional help. You know, we talk about how we're trying to normalize mental health conversations in America. We need to stop normalizing people's weirdo fetishes and say, hey, you need to go talk to a professional about that. If you got a thing about cartoon rabbits, if you think they're sexy, you need to talk to somebody.
Give them a number. Give them the number to call before we run to a break.
Have fun transitioning out of that
Absolutely,
conversation.
No doubt. We are going to kick off the Power Hour, hour number 4 of the show. We're going to kick it off with a good old-fashioned audio blitz. The best audio in sports. That's next. It's the Power Hour, the final hour of the show. Wire to Wire, hour number 4 on your radio, coming right at you. That rhymed, and it was not intentional. It's almost like Madcraft's song that he wrote for us the other day. Should we start the audio blitz with Madcraft's song?
I think it deserves another play.
I think so.
It's time for Wire to Wire with friends Diesel and Cole. This sports show on the radio, talking Tiger Bulls and Rooster Grove, you already know. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole. This sports show on the radio. We're talking Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole.
I
It
like
never
it.
gets old.
I love
does
that
it?
build, and it's like just dropping into a
I know.
roller coaster.
It
So
never
good.
gets old. Madcraft, one of our Tolos, did a song for us. Welcome into the Audio Blitz, the best audio in the world of sports over the last couple of days. We play it, we react to it, but we also want to hear your reactions on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Diesel, about 29 minutes from now, the first ever game at Fifth Third Park will take place between Wofford and Upstate. You brought this audio up during the break. I heard this, but I had forgotten to put it on the rundown here. Kim Mulkey being just mean. You know, they say don't put others down to make yourself feel better. Is that kind of what this sounds like?
It's the second straight year you guys get eliminated in the Elite Eight. Yeah. Terrible.
How many Final Fours you play in?
Wow.
None.
So it's probably pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, come on. Is it just me, or is that she just
Look, I know she's emotional after a loss,
She is.
but
bad look.
she's been a coach long enough to know that she's going to field questions from inexperienced reporters. And the way that this reporter phrased the question and the way he responded to her when she stopped him, messed up his flow,
It's just it was awkward.
indicates that it's awkward. He
Yeah.
is not used to asking questions in press conference formats. He didn't word the thing the right way. And she could have handled that a lot cleaner than the way she did.
I think other coaches would have. I really do. So there's Kim Mulkey starting us off with a little bit of just being mean. Kim being mean. Big. I mean, come on. You got to be.
I mean, Stephen A. went after her, and I saw for being mean, and then I saw whoever it was going after Stephen. Oh, it must be a slow news day if this is all they have to talk about is Kim Mulkey being unkind. No, it's true.
It's true. She's a
It's
jerk.
true. She's a diva. She's a jerk.
Diesel, we mentioned this earlier. Here is audio from Coastal Carolina. We'll play the audio, then tell you what the audio is. See if you can figure it out without us telling you, though.
What's up, boss?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's the damage?
Free.
Free. Well, what about for this?
Free as well.
Free.
All of it free. You want some nachos?
Yeah.
Free too.
All free.
All free.
Free. Can I get 50 of these?
Yeah.
Free.
Free.
What about a drink?
All of it free.
Free.
Have 2 drinks.
Drinks? Whew.
And
All
a hot
free?
dog. Yeah.
Hot dogs free too?
All free. There you go.
Free.
Free.
Sweet.
That's right, Till Nation. This fall in Brooks Stadium, every fan, every game, always free. Free concessions, popcorn, nachos, hot dog, fountain drinks, and water for every fan this fall.
I still don't know if I believe that or not.
Did it come out today?
Yesterday.
It came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
It's bad
tough.
timing on the release of this video, wasn't it?
That's tough.
Why
I
do
mean,
you put that out
how
on
do
the
you-
day before April Fool's?
How do you, I mean? Look, with all 400 fans that go to Brooks Stadium on a game day Saturday, now you're talking about 1,600 hot dogs, 1,600
If that.
Cokes.
I mean, way more than that. Sorry, way more than that. Yeah.
So like, how somebody paid for this? That's the way this works. Like nobody gives away anything for free.
No, but why are you putting?
Begging. It's begging
That's
to get
weird.
fans to come to your games.
I mean, I want to go now. Don't get me wrong.
I already threw my shade that 400 fans go.
Yeah.
A lot more than 400 fans go. But
550.
they don't pack it out for everybody, right? So like when South Alabama comes to town or when Old Dominion comes to town, they're not packing that stadium out. They pack it out when Georgia Southern comes. They pack it out when App State comes. When their rivals come, they do
games.
a great job
Yeah.
with attendance.
ESPN games, things like that.
Right, but outside of that, they don't do a great job with attendance. So this is a way to get some more fans into the stadium, and I'm fine with that.
It's weird.
But like I said, if you're getting something for free, you are the product, and they are asking you to scan your phone to they're collecting some kind of data about you. They're selling that data to somebody else, or a rich donor has donated the whatever it is,
$2
million that they expect to give away over the course of the season. It's already paid for. Did you know, Cole, that when you go to like a grocery store and it asks you, hey, will you round up your change to donate to whatever cause? You're just paying that company back for the donation they've already made to that charity. So if they donated $2 million to that charity, they're trying to recoup their money back that they've already donated.
Yeah, it's
so I
it's
don't ever say yes to those. Ever.
This audio in the next clip that you're going to hear in the audio blitz, Diesel, is Haley Van Lith. If you don't know who she is, she's one of the best women's college basketball players in the country.
Big fan of her work.
And Diesel, she's not the same type of person from the just listening to her is Kim Mulkey. You can hear that. I want to play this audio because it was last night after the loss, and it was heartfelt. It was emotional. She got up. She was crying about it. And I don't think things like this are praised enough where somebody opens up and is just authentic with the audience because she's on national stage, right? She could get made fun of for saying something like this. But, man, you know what? I think that in the world we live in, this audio from Haley Van Lith needs to be praised, and here it is.
It's hilarious because when I was like a sophomore, I was like, who would ever take their 5th year? Like, so why would anyone want to be in college for 5 years? Well, that's funny because here I am in college. But it's been certainly a journey, and nothing I expected. It was hard. It was a lot of nights of being like, I feel like God has put this thing on my heart to be great, but it's not working out right now. And a lot of times I had to look at myself in the mirror and just be like, what do you want, Haley? Like, who are you? And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the fact that he gave me a hard journey, because I would not be the woman I am sitting up here without it. And so I really praise God for the struggle and the suffering. I praise him for the nights where, I didn't want to be alive anymore. I praise him for the nights that I was on medication because I couldn't sleep or eat. And it's painful to talk about it, but it's really how beautiful life is. So I'm sitting up here now with women that I love, and a coach that I love, and a team that I love, and we aren't even sad about losing. We're sad that we aren't going to see each other probably next week. So my journey has been crazy. I'm super grateful for it. Wouldn't have had it any other way.
Wow. I mean, you talk about authentic and just deep.
Vulnerable.
And you know what? We live in a world where people tell you it's not okay to be vulnerable. It's not cool, right? It's not going to,
supposed to be tough and stoic.
Right. And for Haley Van Lith to get up there and say that, I mean, I think it takes a lot of courage. I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to get up there and give that kind of statement.
So I haven't followed her career playing college basketball. Has she spoken publicly about depression issues in the past? I mean, she went into something there that made it seem like she was going through some pretty harsh depression.
Think. Yeah, you would think
and
so.
Like, did she choose in that moment to reveal that, to let that out, or is that something that's been known? I don't know the answer.
No, I don't either. But I tell you, I'm literally researching it as you talk about it, and it looks like there are older articles where she opened up about her mental health and depression, which is awesome to do. I mean, to open up about it. And again, I know that's a kind of a deep piece of audio there, but you said it, is vulnerable of her, and I just think it's commendable. Also, keeping it on the heartfelt, Vic Schaefer, very heartfelt statement after last night's win. Texas advances over TCU. Here's Schaefer.
I know I'm not their world, but they are my world. They say, it's not who you are, it's what you do. This is who I am. This is what I've done for all my life. My family has suffered at times because I put so much into this. A wonderful wife, I've got 2 beautiful kids. But this is what I do and who I am. And you invest so much. You invest your heart and soul into these kids. You want it so badly for them. But sometimes it's hard to show them, especially if they've not been there. And you're going against, I think Sedona's a 7th year. She's at least 6. Van Lith is 5. That's 2 veterans, and they got great players around them. And so I'm just proud of this group, man. That is Texas fight right there. That's what we're all about.
That was a great game last night, Texas versus TCU. And you know what? You respect Vic Schaefer, Diesel, but for me, I hope the winning is over this season for old Vic Schaefer because he's got the Lady Gamecocks. And I don't want Vic Schaefer beating the Lady Gamecocks.
Vic Schaefer sounds like the name of a Ford dealership out on Route 9.
Yeah.
Come on down to Vic Schaefer Ford, where you get free floor mats with every purchase.
It does, doesn't it? Here's a funny one for you. Let's go back and keep it light. NBA on TNT always provides some comedic relief, right? Chuck, Ernie, those guys. This was the March Madness version, Diesel, with Chuck and Ernie and a couple others and Clark Kellogg and somebody else, maybe Jay Williams. Chuck decided to throw a little shade at Ernie, and that's just wrong. Ernie's awesome. Everybody loves Ernie. But don't worry. Ernie gets him back. Here's that audio.
Interested in talking to Kenny, Clark, and Jay. Because we're talking, no, you're not Ernie. I'm not going to ask you no basketball questions. Unless I'm going to say, what kind of Gatorade did you bring to players when you were playing back in the day?
Shots fired.
Totally unnecessary, bro.
Totally unnecessary.
Totally unnecessary. Let me say something.
Say it, Ernie. Say it.
That was a great shot right there.
Neither one of us got a chance to cut down.
And this was later in the show.
So when we won the NBA championship, we were in the locker room. I went out with the ladder. And I cut the championship nets.
Yeah, because they don't do that in the NBA.
They don't do it in the NBA, but I have all 4 nets. So if you Google it, you'll see me cutting it. They'll be like,
all by yourself?
I was, no other teammate would thought about it. They didn't come out. No one came out. They were champagning. They were doing the champagne in the back. I was out there cutting those nets. I was like, I've never done this.
You have a similar story, Charles? No, you don't.
Diesel, is that not the greatest audio? Do you have a similar story, Chuck? No. No, you don't. Is that not the best audio, man?
Oh, my God.
Chuck got him. He got him. That was so great. That was so good. I love the banner.
Ernie with the shots fired.
Oh, man. He just has the perfect time. Perfect opportunity. Here was something I saw over the weekend. Diesel, you talked about a reporter a minute ago asking Kim Mulkey a question. Here's another mistake by a reporter. I don't know if you've heard this audio yet. The bad part is you can't see Dawn's face, Dawn Staley, when she's asked this question. The facial expression that Dawn gives in this video really explains it, but a reporter was asking a question about something that Dawn had going on with a film or something, Diesel, and here's that audio. This was weird.
Kiana Nelson-Shine with The Athletic. You spoke on Thick Enough Skin. I had the pleasure of meeting Kristen LaPaz, who directed your biopic and also did an excellent job on Giannis' documentary. Although Columbia is now home and Philadelphia is your foundation, it's no secret that Philadelphians are tough, resilient people. What else are you looking forward to people learning in your biopic about the role Philadelphia has played in who you are and how you've built this team to sustain the tournament? I think I said something wrong.
And by the way, right now, Dawn's face, she's just like making this almost like she has something sour in her mouth. Now she's taking a drink.
I'm going to get back with you on that one. don't think that's supposed to be out there like that. I'll get back with you.
I don't think it's supposed to be out there. So evidently, there's some biopic that's being done, Diesel, about Dawn Staley.
So they revealed that there's a biopic.
Yeah, that was supposed to be. The reporter did.
So how does she get this information? Like, is it secret?
I don't know. Evidently it is. Evidently. She wasn't, it wasn't, nobody knew about it. Like, it wasn't, Diesel, the reporter had to have a very inside
scoop.
Inside scoop and asked Dawn Staley about it in the post-game.
Wow.
In the post-game press conference.
What are they going to do? Shut the production now? Oh, the word's out. There's going to be a Dawn Staley movie.
Is that not wild? Absolutely wild.
What's going to be better, Cole? The Dawn Staley biopic or the Clemson movie Safety? Safety or Dawn Staley?
If they make the Dawn Staley movie, the film, it'll already be better just if they even produce it.
Safety sucked.
It was bad.
I watched it. It was bad.
It was awful.
I was there at the game.
Yeah.
When they
did the
hill. They filmed the running down the hill.
It was weird.
At halftime.
It was weird.
It was strange. But the movie was just a bad movie because it's a Disney movie, right? It's
bad.
It's just bad.
DB said it on the stream. Is the reporter not smart enough to ask if this is public information beforehand, right?
Well, it's not. No. Dan, it's not like the reporter's job to vet every question that they're going to ask before it's asked.
No, but
the question is, how did this information get leaked? So it's not on the reporter for asking the question at all. It's on whoever leaked the fact that there was a biopic in the process. That's the person that's in trouble.
Whoever leaked it's obviously at fault, but I would say the reporter kind of should know whether maybe, I don't know, maybe that's asking too much. It's maybe she wanted to be the hey, I'm the first one,
to break the news. I mean, look, so when you see like YouTube, like car YouTube reviewers, there's an embargo. They are not allowed to release their footage, their content.
Sure.
They'll all go get access to the car. They can drive the car. They can film with the car, but then they can't release it until the manufacturer says, okay, on this date, you can all release your stuff. Because if you do that, if you violate that, you'll never get to go review a car for them ever again.
Right.
But with this situation, I've never ever heard of a reporter who was not allowed to ask a certain question.
It's just weird.
Or broach a certain topic, because it's not like when they do a press conference, it's not like they hand out a sheet of paper to everybody and say, "Here's the 5 topics you are absolutely not allowed to ask."
But Dawn's face, man, when she started down that road, Dawn was like,
"How did you know?"
I mean, really, she did. Here's one that I think it was Spartanburg J. The other day on the Rob Brown. Yesterday when we got here and I was looking through texts from the Rob Brown show, Spartanburg J had a problem with Bruce Pearl, calling him Dabo Sweeney. How their coaches and leaders try to, be good examples. So here's Bruce Pearl and what a listener of the Rob Brown show was cheesy and said he sounded too much like Dabo. Do you agree with that here?
This is a team of faith. You see every time that they make a 3-ball, they're calling God. That's what they're doing. I'm getting emails and I'm getting, voicemail messages from parents of 8-year-old girls going, my daughter banged her first 3 and she called God. And the parents were so excited about it. Now, what that also does, it gives me an opportunity as a teacher to say, okay, listen, if we're going to call God and we're going to do that, then we can't act this way or that way. That's why we've graduated 46 kids in 11 years. Auburn basketball has graduated 46 student athletes in 11 years. I tell you what, you go look in your high major, go look. It'd be really hard to find anybody graduated any more than that. And that discipline and accountability, plus the faith factor, is really what the chemistry of our program is all about, not just recruit a bunch of killers.
So obviously Auburn's very talented, but I mean, Bruce Pearl, wanting to shape his program and be a leader of men. Any issue with that? And what he said there?
None whatsoever. I got no problem with that. I mean, it's it's
talking about I think Spartanburg Jay was like, he's talking about graduation,
the graduation rates. I mean, Dabo has certainly made a big deal out of that. Now, I mean, Auburn is still winning, at a high level. Still has a chance to go win a national title.
It's just so funny to me, man. Like people in our world and our society who are trying to do like good, get criticized. Dabo, Bruce Pearl talk about, leading their program this way or that way in graduation rates. They get criticized. Obviously winning helps. That's the caveat there, right? Winning helps. But it's I say me personally, good on Bruce Pearl for allowing them to do those type of gestures and have a team of faith or whatever they want to do. I mean, it's player led, and you know what? He's right about graduation rates. I mean, coaches care about those things. You and I, as fans, we may not care, but coaches and some fans do care.
And it's a selling point. When they go into parents' living rooms, I mean, they still have to go recruit, right?
Sure.
Coaches are still going into living rooms. It's not like it's just a bagman who shows up and says, here's a check, sign with Auburn.
Sometimes it feels like it.
It feels like that to us, but it's not that way to them.
It's good stuff, though.
When we come back, Cole, we had a great conversation earlier with Landon Powell, North Greenville Trailblazers head coach. He was out at batting practice. We talked to him about these new torpedo bats, whether he thinks they're a good idea, bad idea. Also got deep in the weeds on his program. And, he talks about just the way this team kind of is beating themselves a little bit, considering they're 29-8 on the season. That conversation, you're going to hear it again next.
talk a little baseball, a little college baseball, as we bring in good friend of the show. You've heard him on the Fan Upstate many times, Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville, as his team off to another incredible start this season here in 2025. But, Coach, before we get into your team and what the Trailblazers have done in 2025, you told me you're stepping away from batting practice to do this interview. You guys have any of those torpedo bats up there yet?
Nah, no torpedo bats. They you know, that if a metal bat company launched some torpedo bats right now, that'd be pretty innovative that they were that ahead of the game, because obviously metal bats take a long time to produce. And I don't even know if you could do it in college baseball because they have exit velocity maxes for these bats. And the rules are a little bit more in depth for college baseball than they are for professional baseball. So there's a lot more flexibility in professional baseball model sizes and things. College baseball is a little more generic, but fascinating stuff going on. I got a good buddy that owns a wood bat company, and I was talking to him about it. It's really interesting stuff.
You know, Landon, I played high school ball back in the day. I was terrible. You certainly would not have given me a recruiting look. But you know, from looking back 25 years ago to not looking at a baseball bat until 10 years later to looking at a baseball bat now, the evolution has been pretty substantial over the last 25 years or so. Which bat that you have ever coached players using or you used yourself, like what era had the most pop? Like if you could say, all right, the NCAA said you could bring that one back, you would vote for, I want that bat.
Well, so my senior year, I skipped my senior year of high school. My junior year of high school, my last year of playing high school baseball, that was still -5. So the length to weight differential was allowed to be -5 ounces. So if you had a 34-inch bat, you could have a 29 ounce bat. When I went to college my freshman year, they switched that to -3. So that was a major change then. I mean, bats were crazy, and that's when home runs and stuff were at its peak in college baseball. When they went to -3, home runs came down a little bit. And then, obviously, I guess what was the era when South Carolina won its national championships, that was kind of the dead ball era of college baseball, partially because they changed the bats, but also because of the balls. That was before they went to the flat seam ball. So you had a combination of deader bats with high seam balls and just didn't go anywhere. So those were, I think it was 2009, 10, 11, those years, least number of home runs and stuff like that. Then they lowered the seams on the baseballs, and the home runs started coming back. And then they've improved the bats kind of consistently here over the last 10 years. So I'd say they're pretty hot right now. But for me personally, the Easton Red Line and the Easton Z-Core, that era in my career, those bats were about as hot as they came. That crossover between -5 to -3. There's some other ones that are really good too. But I'd say my era at South Carolina, we had some pretty good bats. And then I think the ones that these guys are swinging now are pretty good, to be honest with you.
Landon, Diesel and I have talked a lot about the torpedo bats. Before we get to your team real quick, what do you think the direction, or where do you think the direction of baseball, I mean, coming from somebody who played at the highest level as you did, the direction of baseball, where do you think it's going with these new torpedo bats?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see that, to be honest with you. I think that there's a couple of different routes it goes. I mean, one route is that baseball gets restrictive and says that the stuff's not allowed, that the rules weren't interpreted the right way, and they need to be a little bit, they add some amendment, kind of adding a little bit more description to what the bat can do. Because right now it's kind of vague, it's got to be smooth and, can't be bigger than 2.58 inches in diameter or whatever it is. And so they may get the rules a little bit more descriptive, I guess. That would be one thing I could see happening. If not, then I think this might be something that's here to stay. And what you'll see is technology will show these bat companies, they'll be able to personalize the barrel per hitter. So what they're talking about with Volpe, the shortstop for the Yankees, is that he hits more balls on the label. So they've slid his sweet spot down, and, that's helping him. So they'll find other hitters that they hit more balls toward the end cap, and they'll slide the barrel that way a little bit. I think that's intriguing because all it is just kind of taking a bunch of reps and doing the data and kind of figuring out where your sweet spot as a hitter is. So I think that's probably the route you'll see, is that bats will get a little bit more. Like when I played, there's 20 different models of bats, but it's like an M110 handler with a 243 barrel, and that's called a B345. It's really like the same 7 models. You just change the handle, the grip, the little things here and there. But like this is totally different. This is they can personalize the sweet spot of the bat to the hitter, which is it's kind of, to me, I think it's fascinating. They haven't thought of that in the last 100 years, to be honest with you.
It's absurd, Landon, that Elly De La Cruz got hands on one of these things for the first time in pregame batting practice, and then goes out and hits 2 home runs, and I think had seven RBIs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd. You would think that it would take a hitter a little time to adapt to a new bat. How do you think Major League Baseball, if this bat is here to stay, should allow pitching to adapt to try to overcome the torpedo bat? I mean,
I think that they don't need to do anything with pitching. They've already done enough in recent years to help pitching. If we're going to be honest, I mean, the pitch clock helped pitching. Some of the rules have definitely been beneficial to pitching, in my opinion. So that's why, to me, you've seen a little bit of a batting averages have dropped across the league. Strikeouts are way up. And that's why baseball was struggling a little bit several years ago with, fan attendance or viewership and things like that. So you've seen baseball come back with some rule changes to try to make the game more exciting. They've made the bases bigger. They've made, you can only pick off a couple times before you can't pick off again. They're trying to encourage more stolen bases. The strike zone, what they're talking about doing with the automated strike zone is going to shrink the strike zone, which will help hitters. Pitch clock was something they thought would speed the game up and help viewership, but actually what it did is it helped pitchers. And it actually hurt hitting. So I think the torpedo bat is something that could be good. You don't need to even the playing field. Pitchers already have the advantage. I think more runs, more home runs, more excitement probably helps the viewership of baseball. So I'm all for more. I'm a hitter at heart. I'm all for more runs, more home runs, more excitement.
We're joined by Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville. The baseball team 29-8 on the season, 14-7 in conference play. Coach, what have you learned about your team thus far?
We're inconsistent. That's one thing I would say. No, we have a good team. We have good pitching. We have a very good offense, but the offense has just been a little streaky. We're top 10 in the country in a lot of offensive stats, and we'll go have a couple game stretch where we just can't score, and that's been a little head scratching. But if you told me when the season started we'd be 29-8 through 37 games or whatever it is, I'd probably take that. But we've lost 5 games by 1 run and 1 game by 2 runs. So 6 of our 8 losses are, games that we feel like look back at, we could easily have won, change a play here or there, get a hit here or there, make a play here or there. We probably win. So I've been telling my guys, like, hey guys, we're really, we're really 35-2. Y'all beat yourself 5 times. Or whatever the math is on that. So, good team. I think we got to get hot down the stretch here. We've been a little banged up, lost the starting pitcher to injury, lost an outfielder to injury, lost a catcher to injury. So, we've been a little banged up, but we're starting to get guys healthy, and we're in good place in the region. I think we're going to probably be in the top 1 or 2 in the region in the polls. So that'll help us hopefully host if we can stay on this trajectory. But we're 3rd place in our conference. So, it's kind of weird to be, 1st or 2nd in the region and 3rd in your conference, but all of our losses except 1 have been conference losses. So, but here we are last month, got a good team, and I think we can get hot and make some noise, hopefully.
Yeah, Coach, I don't think you're going to find a lot of people from the outside, at least, that would look at this program and look at your last 5 or 6 years and use the word inconsistent. But, you're a coach. You're allowed to be tough on yourself. You hear from a lot of the best coaches, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, ice hockey, whatever it is. They say they have the ability to pick the brains of other coaches who are highly successful, whether it be through conversations or through reading their books. You know, Don Staley down in South Carolina, highly consistent, able to get back to the Final Four again. What can you point to that you've learned, not necessarily from Don, but if you got an example from Don that you want to point to, great, that you can say, like, you picked up from an interdisciplinary coach and say, I want to apply that to how I do things?
You know, I learned a lot from Coach Tanner, my college coach. You know, he was a very consistent presence in our program. I mean, I played there for 4 years, and he was never not at the field and you know, in practice in 4 years. He never missed a day. And he brought it every day. He was competitive every day. He did not allow mediocrity. He pushed us even when we were the number one team in the country, or, you know, whatever we were doing. Like, he figured out ways to challenge us and make us be better. And so I do all those same things. I mean, we're sitting here in practice today, and I'm hard on them, making them hit line drives, making bets with them, and, you know, challenging them, creating competition, you know, telling them you can't hit 12 line drives in a row. Stuff, you know, just you push their buttons and you make them never get complacent. So I think that's a big thing for us, is that we are not going to feel – we won 5 games last week and went 5-0 and we're ranked whatever in the country. Like, it'd be easy to sit back and say, oh, we're a good team, we got this. No, that's not – you never do that. What can we do better? Hey, we left that guy on third base with 1 out. We should have got him in somehow. We didn't make that double play that could have got us out of an inning. We got to make that. So just staying on them is one thing. And then I think the next thing is I just hate losing that much. I think I love to win, but I hate to lose even more. So, you know, having my players kind of hopefully mirror that from me, that losing is something that they just can't deal with if that they lose sleep at night over it. Like, maybe that's not a great life lesson because you're going to lose sometimes, and baseball is a game of adversity, but I just teach my guys, like, you know, refuse to lose somehow. And if you do, like, let it eat you alive. The wins are supposed to happen. And, you know, I think I got a bunch of guys, I know I do, that hate to lose like I do, and that's why you don't lose a lot.
Coach, when you look at the conference, obviously there are several good teams every single year in your conference that you have to go through. But this weekend, a series at the University of Mount Olive since 2012, 25 wins, 25 losses. Do you feel like, I guess this is a two-part question, do you feel like Mount Olive has been the one consistent program or the top consistent program that really gives you that battle year in and year out since you've been in North Greenville? And the second part of that is, what do you expect this weekend?
Yeah, they're obviously one of our rivals, and they've always been a top program in our conference. What's interesting that you bring that record up since 2012, I just had somebody send me, and I don't know why it happened, it's just random, like somebody did some data and like sent it to me, but it was my record as a head coach versus all the teams we play. And I was kind of surprised against Mount Olive. I think we are 24-14 in my career against Mount Olive. So we have handled them pretty well over the years. But one thing is, we have never won a series at their place since I've been here. We've won 1 out of 3, and we've swept them at our place a couple times, but we've never beat them in a 3-game series at their place. So I know that is a bucket list item for a couple of our seniors. They've talked about it. We've always handled them here in regular season at our place, and we've handled them in the regionals or super regionals or conference tournament either. We've always had good records against them, but when we go to their place, we haven't had a lot of success. So that's our goal this weekend. We want to go up there and win a series. We really want to sweep them, but ultimately you want to win the series, and I think we have a team that can do it, so we'll see what they're made of.
Landon Powell, head coach of the NGU Trailblazers, joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Can you give us a little early scouting report on Mount Olive, the Friday starter, Saturday starter? You got a little time to rest up for them. Is it a little more strategery at this point, or are you? Can you go into that for me?
Yeah, they have good arms. They're one of the better pitching teams in our league, so they're going to be good on the mound. They play good defense. They're well coached. So historically, they've been a really good offensive team, and they've been pretty dangerous in their lineup. This year, their offense is a little down. They've scored a lot less runs than we have. I think we scored maybe 350 runs or something like that, and they're down in the like 180s or something. So we've when you look at the math on paper, you look at the stats on paper, like it very much favors us. But that's why you play the game. And Mount Olive is we're a rival for them and have been the last 10 years. So I'm sure they're going to give us their best game, but they're not as offensive as they've been in the past. But they can pitch. So we also can pitch, and we are still offensive. So as long as we go up there and play our brand of baseball and execute and do things we're supposed to, I feel good about the matchup.
Coach, we always appreciate your time. Best of luck this weekend and the rest of the season, and we'll talk to you again soon. well, you have to turn your microphone on before you talk. Do you know that, by the way?
Works better that way. I mean,
Unless you're Rob Brown.
We can send you up to the roof and just let you shout off the top of the building.
Is that where Rob and Lonzo do their show?
Yeah.
I've heard rumors. I just didn't know if that was true or not.
Rob doesn't even use a microphone. That's what's funny.
Diesel, the question I have in this last segment is a good question. By the way, I'll get to the stream in just a second. Good to see Scotty from BMW and Madcraft there. Sorry for just now seeing those comments. Diesel, if you were Tyson Jeffers, the general manager of the Hub City Spartanburgers, who's a good friend of the show, we've had him on several times, right?
Big fan of his work.
Big fan? Yeah, big fan. If you were him tonight, how many knots would you have in your stomach if 13 minutes ago, by the way, it's already underway, Wofford and Upstate. I mean, you're talking about, I want you to remember, when you and I and all of Spartanburg were down, Madcraft was there, when all of Spartanburg was downtown, do you remember what month that was by chance? When they revealed the name.
Yeah, it was warm.
Do you know
I'm going to
what
say
month?
that it was June of last year.
May, toward the end of
May
May.
of last year.
Okay, fast forward. May to the end of March, when they had BP yesterday, right? Or yeah, yesterday was the end of March. That's newsflash. That's not even a full year.
It's 10 months.
10 months. And Diesel.
Wow.
In 10 months, they got a baseball stadium off the ground in Spartanburg. You and I have seen it. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And tonight, as right now, this has never been said on these airwaves before. There is baseball happening in Spartanburg. Think about that. I got goosebumps just saying it, man.
I am pulling up the Hub City Spartanburgers Twitter account to see what kind of media, the photo. They don't have any photos up. Tyson.
They've got to be.
Help us out, man.
Are you on Facebook or Twitter?
I'm on Twitter now. Now I'm going to Facebook.
I'm sure there's all kind of things on Facebook. Okay, I see. The last thing I see is Upstate warming up, but no fans yet. Maybe they're still trying to, get them. I can't wait. I cannot wait, man. Baseball is back in Spartanburg.
I'm itching to see photos of this.
I am too. And you know what, man? Think about that, Diesel. Think about that. It's never been said before that baseball is back in Spartanburg, and here we are.
Wow, dude, have you seen the green hat?
Yes.
With just the Spartanburgers.
Yes.
God, that's all. That's the one I want.
Saw it
that's
on
my new
social
favorite
media.
one.
I saw it on their Hub City.
That's amazing.
So, anyways, tonight,
good-looking gear.
We'll have the debut, and then tomorrow I think is like a exhibition, I believe, is what they called it, and then the first real game, not far from now at all. So I'm ecstatic. I know I've said it a lot, but I'm just so excited, man. Being from Spartanburg, you and I getting to tour that stadium last week, and tonight I'm going. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave here. I'm going to drive by. I doubt I'll be able to find parking or anything like that.
Just call Tyson and say, hey, I need a spot.
Yeah. Can you have this red Toyota move out of the spot, please?
He's like, that's my car.
Sorry, the black GMC. Have it moved in. I am going to drive by. It'll be late in the game before I get there, obviously, leaving from Greenville. But I live in Spartanburg. I'm so excited. I'm stoked that baseball's back. I don't really even care if the Spartanburgers aren't that good to start because they may not be, right?
Well, the good news is they're bringing a lot of the team over from Hickory.
Good.
From last year.
Hickory any good?
Well, let's find out. 2024.
Again, I've said this many times. No offense to the baseball players. Minor league baseball is a social event, right? Just like the other team in Greenville that doesn't want to do anything with us here at the Fan Upstate. We love the Upstate having baseball. We love the Spartanburgers. I'm just so excited. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line, you and I mean, how cool is it, Diesel, that we're doing the first ever drive? That was their name, Drive. The first ever Drive Spartanburgers game. You and I will be there.
Last year, the Hickory Crawdads in high A ball were 62-70. So just a couple games under 500. They're a 500 ball club.
Yeah.
And with minor league ball, it's hard, man, because as soon as you get a player that finds some success, whoom, they're off to the Double-A team.
Right. They should be.
And then, whoom, they're, so that's one of the hard parts about especially high A ball. Double-A ball gets a piece of that too, because you don't get a lot of major leaguers going down and rehabbing in Double-A, right?
Sure.
They go down and they rehab in Triple-A. if you that's I really wished Greenville had the AAA Braves ball club because we could see guys that were just one level under the major leagues. You'd see major leaguers coming down to rehab. Gives you a great reason to go if you're a Braves fan. But with high A ball, it's tough because you got guys that are just making their start in Major League Ball. Now, they did say last week when they revealed the first ever roster, they've got like 5 of the Rangers' highest prospects on this team.
That's awesome.
So,
that's
all they got to do is
fun.
they just got to put it together, man. You got some guys that may be playing for the Rangers in a couple of years on that field.
Scotty from BMW on the stream says, anyone hungry? I'm grilling chicken thighs and cooking Havana-style black bean soup, puree, eating good. God, send us the address, Scotty. I mean, forget the freaking baseball game, right?
Mad Therapy says Cole would go to the game if he had a car. Got any
by the way,
T-bones you can put in there?
I've got a nice rental car sitting outside the radio station right now. Thank you, Matt Kraft. Thank you.
It's a hybrid.
It's
Believe
a
it or not.
Mitsubishi. I like it a
Wow.
lot. I like
Are you going to get one?
I thought about it.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
Don't wreck this one. Tolos, been a blast. We'll be back to do it again tomorrow right here on the Fan Upstate.